shit.
That's a good way to start off.
Oh my God.
I didn't see that coming.
That was the happiest accident.
The power of live radio. Folks, welcome to the High Council.
Oh my God.
It's election night, but not in here. So, folks, we have a show for you. We have a wonderful guest, Mr. Kamran Pasha, joining us once again.
Great to be on.
We also have Mecha Random 42.
Hello.
And Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Hello, everybody, and I apologize for some miscommunication with Razorfist. Hopefully we can reschedule for like next week or sometime soon. Until then, we're going to have some fun talking about everything but the big news going on right now that everybody else is talking about.
Yes, folks, you have Google. You can find the results, and no matter what happens, be excellent to each other. Now, with that being said, Kamran, what's new with you? It's been a few months since we've had you on the High Council.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm here just trying, like everybody else in Hollywood, trying to survive and find my next thing. And I've got several projects that have been slowly moving, that we've attached directors to. But, where the town is right now, we spent the summer. I have these pilots that I've sold to studios that they want to go out and sell to the market, like to sell to, a network like ABC or a distributor like Netflix. And so we did the process of packaging them, which is getting, famous people or reasonably famous people attached to them that might make it interesting to move forward. And then, of course, the whole industry is shut down because of all the events of 2020. And now everyone is trying to figure out when can we actually take this thing out. And so now that the things are beginning to move up again, suddenly you got Thanksgiving coming. Everyone's like, well, I don't know if this town's even going to do anything. So we have to figure out when we're going to take it out. And the challenge is that if you take it out in January, well, everyone's going to take all their stuff out in January. So suddenly you're competing with 5,000 projects that are out there, right? And so we're trying to see if there's a window right now to take some of these things out and maybe try to sell them before the year's up, which I would prefer.
It's we're out here too, and it seems like things are getting back to normal, right? But not exactly.
It's funny. It's weird because you see everything like more traffic every day, more people, out on the weekends, out on the, sidewalk dining and stuff like that. But then you're reading the news and everything's like more infections, bigger spreads, the latest super spreading event, hospitals overrun. You're like, all right.
And now you're looking at like stuff too in the entertainment sphere, like, AMC, 90% guaranteed closure and all kinds of weird shit.
Right.
So I'm going to say, so we don't have to talk about the election, but I'm going to say something controversial, or maybe it's going to rile up the chat and get people angry and saying stuff and then watching. But I'm also, I'm going to say something pretty bad here because why not? If you weren't watching the news, would you know there's a pandemic? Would you know all these things that you just said, right? And so that's the thing is, and that's problematic because when the real pandemic that we all know about, which is, the 1918 flu, Spanish flu was happening. I mean, there's people dying in the streets. I mean, people were terrified and they didn't have modern media and they knew what was going on, right? Because it was very much in their face that there's a real medical problem that, even with limited ability to travel, limited communications abilities, they saw it in their lives. And yet here we are in a global connected world. And the only way we would know about it for most people, I would think, is if we looked into it or we watched the stuff. So I want to suggest that there's something wrong there.
Cameron, I'll throw an interesting counterpoint to that too, which is I think something that people also don't consider in some of the arguments they've made about this, where they want to say like, oh, look at, this is only killed. And now we're at the point where, this is only killed, 4, 5, 6 times the amount that last flu season did. It's not that bad, but at the same time, this is after shutdowns, mandates, all sorts of efforts taken to try to curb the spread of the virus. So I would argue that while I do think things look life is normal outside, if we didn't have modern communication and people didn't actually know about the pandemic and the world had done absolutely nothing to curb the spread of it, that we would be in a place now where you would know there was a health emergency going on just by
and I appreciate that point of view, and that is actually a very common and mainstream point of view. Because I'm a guy on the fringe, I'm going to suggest that I don't actually accept that point of view. I actually am very much a believer that lockdowns were never the solution. I believe we should have done what Sweden did, and Sweden is now down to almost zero deaths, and without ever locking down, without masks, without any of that stuff. They're the last sane place that's left on the planet, and you look at them like, why are you all crazy? So, and the other thing I'll add from my fringe point of view, which I hope one day will not be fringe, is that the flu has disappeared. the flu doesn't exist anymore. So I would suggest at least a good portion of the things that we think are people dying from this pandemic are people that are being infected by the flu, which kills 60 to 80,000 people a year, right? So because there's no flu coverage at all, as if the flu vanished. It hasn't vanished.
Well, they have the statistics where there's like 0 cases, like 0.0005,
Yeah, and so I mean, it's about reporting and the PCR tests that are used to determine do you have a case? Do you have it in your system, even though there's no evidence of you're asymptomatic, right? Mm-hmm. PCR tests are largely unreliable, and a cold virus in your system from a month ago will register it. If you had the flu, it'll be registered. And so I'm going to suggest that events are not as they appear to be, and I'm okay with being on the fringe on that. I think in a year I won't be on the fringe on that.
Well, look at all the cases of people allegedly falsely reporting, reporting down for whatever reason. Maybe
I can report that personally. Mm-hmm. My ex-girlfriend, she's in Romania, and granted, this is not the United States; it's another country, but it's a real case. I was talking to her, and she was telling me her neighbor's son died tragically of suicide. That's another thing that's happening. People are committing suicide. Mm-hmm. The depression of the lockdown, right? Her neighbor's son couldn't go to school, cut off from his friends. He committed suicide. And the police said, if you file this as a COVID death, the government's going to give you money and the hospital will get money. And I think that's what you should do. And that's what they did, right? And that's directly her neighbor. So that's in another country, but that kind of stuff happens in this world.
Well, and then my aunt was put down as that, and she didn't have it. My friend's cousin, who she was taking care of for a bronchial, it's a kind of a stage where she needs a lung transplant anyway, completely unrelated, on oxygen. They decided to throw her in the COVID ward, and they kept testing her just because she had a respiratory illness. And I think that they were trying to, I guess just keep all of the respiratory patients together. And that's another one of the things that I hear is just pretty much anybody who comes in with anything. But then that's anecdotal, of course.
We can only work on anecdotal because all we can do is that's how we started this conversation. Is the world we're living in doesn't reflect the information that we're often being given. And what's the causal relationship? You've presented a very plausible reason for why that is, and I'm suggesting maybe none of that is real.
Well, and then look at how germs spread anyway. I mean, if you're wearing a mask, but somebody coughs and you walk through that and the back of your hair touches that, and then you go home and you wash your hands and you touch your hair after you wash your hands, you're still going to have whatever germs are on the back of your head. So just the spread of germs, I think people don't realize how much germs spread anyway. It just really feels to me like if I'm going to go to Walmart and getting it, or might be possibly getting it from going to the grocery store or wherever. Seriously, what the crap? It just seems like people don't understand how germs spread anyway. People fiddle with their masks. I do all the time. People touch things all the time. They never even recommended taking vitamins or getting enough sleep.
No, they never. I mean, I think we can all agree on this. We can all agree that they didn't give us good advice on how to strengthen your immune system.
Yeah.
That I think anyone can agree that that's good advice that we all need. And that's still not being promoted. And I was like, come on, okay, all right, we can accept everything you're saying. Why aren't you telling us actually how to strengthen our immune system? Because that's necessary. Whatever.
But we're doing everything in our power to actively stay away from. We're basically putting ourselves in these giant plastic bubbles where we never deal with any germs ever. And we're lowering our immune systems anyway by doing I was cleaning off my groceries when I didn't bring them home.
So now you've got something I'm very passionate about on screen here. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Anyone calls my Twitter knows I'm very passionate about that.
Well, you said germs, so let's talk about fucking filth. Amber Heard.
Okay, well, I was going to say, there we go. That's something to talk about.
Yeah, so let's get off the medical stuff, which is beyond any of our controls, and let's get on to celebrities, which is beyond our control, but it's more entertaining.
Yeah, so Amber Heard, it's Johnny Depp lost his defamation case, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So... yeah,
the thing is,
common sense seems to have lost this one.
The really interesting thing about that too is what it means versus what it means. Mm-hmm. Because it means the thing is what it actually means versus what people are going to treat it like it means. Because it doesn't mean that Johnny Depp's a wife beater, which is how people are going to treat it like it means. Yeah. It doesn't mean that Amber Heard did nothing wrong, which is also how people are going to treat it like it means. What it means is that for whatever reason, politically motivated or otherwise, the judge decided that Johnny Depp did not convincingly enough prove that he did not do the things that the Sun Times alleged he did. And that's all that means.
Yeah, and which means that he wasn't libeled when the Sun calls him a wife beater.
Exactly, because it's effectively the Sun had enough. Realistically, all the Sun Times had to do is prove they had enough reason to believe that could have been true when they published it.
And at the end of the day, when you look at the actual judgment of the judge, and I've looked at it, it's all literally like whatever Amber says, I believe her. Whatever she says in court, whatever she says on tape, on videotape, whatever she said in other things, I'm not going to believe any of that. I'm just going to believe her version of events here in court. And I'm not going to believe Johnny Depp's version of events. And I'm a former attorney. I've never seen an opinion like this. It is, in my opinion, the most egregious legal judgment I have ever come across, where the determiner of fact simply goes, I'm going to throw out all the facts that contradict this particular person's statements in court and ignore all of it, which is 90% of it. Ignore all of it and just go, I'm going to believe her. Even though if I took any of those other facts into account, her testimony in court seems like perjury. So
yeah.
Well, and what we have here is an overall issue between UK law, and I think it was kind of already alluded to that, unfortunately, even though she did just as much as he did, if not more so, obviously.
Well, I would suggest she did all of it.
The way UK law works,
they
weren't in the wrong, even though they didn't say she did just as much or worse. Like you guys were saying, the headline was still, quote-unquote, technically true, at least in the eyes of the UK courts, which is a bunch of horse shit. Yeah. And again, I think you guys are right. Like, people are going to see this and they're going to read it for the headline, and they're not going to really go into it. Because I've already seen enough people where I've had to correct them. Yeah. You know, and it's like,
he's been proven to be a wife beater.
Yeah.
And, you know, what's fascinating is there's some weird stuff in this judgment where the judge actually says the complainant here, Johnny Depp, has made his case for being liable. But I'm going to redefine the term that he's claiming is libelous. Okay. So if you don't change the definition of that term, he would win the case. I mean, there's some crazy stuff in there. I've had UK attorneys tell me I've never seen anything like this. And I personally believe there's something very, very shady going on.
I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true or not because I haven't done the homework on it yet. So please. Yeah. But I guess supposedly there was some connection between this judge and Amber's lawyer. Like, one wrote a book and the other one had something. Yeah.
I heard something about that while the case was going on. Yeah.
They had worked at the same law firm before he became a judge.
That's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, they're colleagues. They're friends. That is conflict of interest. Yes, it is.
At that point, a new judge should have been called in.
I agree.
It's amazing how often judges don't recuse themselves when they know for no conflict of interest. They know that if no one catches this, if no one pulls this out, they're going to get away with it, you know, and there's nothing anyone can do.
Well, you know, and since I do believe there's something sinister happening here that's beyond one judge's ego, I think personally, I have no evidence of this. So if anyone wants to sue me for this, I'm just giving my opinion. I personally think there is a sinister thing happening here with powerful people in Amber Heard's circle are trying to protect her, including Elon Musk, who's a billionaire. And so I think that there's money involved in this, a lot of money with people of that caliber, because unmasking her starts asking questions about her relationships with incredibly powerful people and embarrasses all of them. And they're happy to sacrifice him to protect that. That's my opinion.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I want to know is, do you think the damage is done for his legacy? No. Do you think it was done before this judgment? I think
he's stronger. I think he's stronger.
Now, what do you think about Amber Heard's legacy? Or Mecca, Tom, what do you guys think about that? Johnny Depp's legacy. Is he stronger than that, or do you think this will he'll carry this around his neck for a while?
I don't think anyone's going to care. I think his fan base is strong enough that it's not going to hurt his, like, look at all the support from all the people who tune into, like, that Umbrella guys. You know, he's done some great coverage on a lot of this stuff, you know. So Johnny Depp is a big enough star where it won't matter. And there's a lot of people who still won't believe it, like, especially when you had Winona Ryder coming out in favor of it, or of him, and saying, no, he was, like, a nice guy. I think, like, from the footage I saw, though, from what I did, it just kind of seemed like they were pretty toxic together, and that they were kind of driving each other to a bunch of crap. And so who knows what actually happened? It looked like it's probably somewhere in the middle for me, but I don't know. I think she's probably going to quietly disappear after a while.
I think we'll see more of her.
You think we'll see more of her? Okay, let's hear about this. I want to hear that point.
I think that he's right. I think this kind of even though this judgment doesn't really mean anything, I think it empowered her even more. And in the public eye, it's really going to skew things.
Yeah, there's an Amber Heard victory lap coming for the next 2 years.
I agree, because the thing is she can leverage this now, essentially, because people are, by the only legal judgment that exists, she didn't do anything wrong. Therefore, she can leverage this. If she feels like she's getting turned down for roles, if she feels like she's not getting opportunities in Hollywood, she can absolutely leverage this as look, they're blaming the victim, kind of thing. No question, and she definitely will. So to me, that's absolutely going to happen, and that's going to continue to happen basically until people, and what I think is going to happen around that, though, is Hollywood is going to look for every reason to blacklist her unrelated. So when they feel like enough time has passed and they can mount a big enough case against her, then she'll go away. But until Hollywood can pin her to the wall for something else, she's going to be able to leverage this to basically do whatever she wants.
Well,
I don't know if that time will ever come. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I will tell you that even before this victory, or this pseudo victory of hers in this case, she's one of the most hated people that I've heard of in this town. People despise her. I have mutual friends who have worked with her, right? Or at least, I have friends whose friends have, like, mutual friends. Their friends have worked with her, and they have told me the same word every time. The most evil person they've ever encountered in the industry. Evil. It's a consistent word I'm hearing from multiple people who said she's an evil person. She's very dangerous, and it's a scary word, because people even didn't throw that word around. I heard about Harvey Weinstein for 15 years, what he was. I would hear he's a sleazebag. I would hear that, right? I never heard the word evil. I've consistently heard that word from people.
Oh, yeah, not to get in.
That's why I think, like, if he did do anything, like I've seen him slamming cupboards around, and that can be pretty intimidating if you have somebody who punches a wall in front of you or throws things around. That's getting pretty.
I actually want to interrupt you there, because this is important. No, I actually want to, because you just stated something that was actually disproven in the case, right? Okay. Where he had released to TMZ this video of him angrily slamming things. The actual full video was shown in court, which is an example of a thing that the judge ignored. The full video is her putting of him injuring himself, like tripping and hurting himself, getting, oh, damn it, hitting the wall, right? And then he sees she's got this hidden camera. He goes, what the hell are you doing? Why are you taping me? And she's like, and he storms away. He's like, why are you taping that? He walks away, and then she takes the camera and smiles into it like, I got him. It's the craziest thing.
Well, and even if you take that in context, I was going to say, even if
really get into it, like, she does seem the type who's gonna, like, beat him and smack him and verbally abuse him and all these things. So I believe 100% she was she cut off his finger. I mean, you can't deny that. I believe everyone 100%. She shoved him, beat him, crapped in his bed, did everything terrible to this man.
That's
the judge said all of that is just rumor and hearsay.
I mean, really, I basically, especially once you learned about things like the way she, stole her, her assistant's story, about being a victim to make herself look like the victim and all that shit. I'm like, this woman's manipulative. To me, with what Cameron's saying is her being this hated character in Hollywood, it makes total sense that she wanted to, build this case, this fake case, and sell the story to a tabloid, essentially, so to have a way to legitimize herself, because she probably knew that. She probably knew she doesn't have a lot of friends in Hollywood. She doesn't have a lot of organic ways in to keep her career afloat. So she needed to find some way to leverage it. And there you go. Boom. You do this, you get to be the Me Too girl. And now, if people don't hire you, then they hate women. So,
well, and not only that, what I was trying to say before is, like, let's even take those videos in the context they were presented by the media. Not once in the history of Johnny Depp's life has because a lot of his exes, if not, I think almost all of them for that matter, came out against Amber in this thing and said, Johnny has never acted this way. He's never yelled at me or never hit me. He's never acted out. To me, even if you take the videos of him supposedly smashing some cupboards and doing whatever he's doing, even if that's the case, it sounds like a caged animal to me. Sounds like she brought this out in him. Like she was just pushing him to this point where, it was so toxic. And again, it's no different than, look at it from the other angle. Like if, it was a woman in this kind of a situation, again, where would
where
would
does the
we
anger
see
explode when you're being
exactly? Yeah, like I mean, it's like instead of taking it out on her or even directing it at her, which is not the case, which she was trying to present as the case, even that to me is justified in this sense because look at all the shit she's done to him. And I mean, there's more than enough proof. Yeah, it's like.
So I'm very passionate about this. I've been following it for a couple of years, and so I forgive me if I jump down your throat, Mecca. I just want to, present what I know. Because once that gets out there, that he might be slamming cupboards. Now that we know he wasn't even doing that, he just hurt himself. Like if I stub my toe, I go, damn it, and somebody tapes that and says, look what an abusive guy. That's really sinister. That's really sinister. So.
Yeah. So we've been, I guess, in the sphere, been so focused on like, oh, will she be in or out of Aquaman 2 that we might have missed other parts of this. I think people calling for Johnny Depp's career just shows that double standard that still exists no matter how far we try to push in one direction or how far we try to come in society.
Especially considering Warner Brothers has said they have no plans on letting her go, but yet Disney's already stated early on before there was any case, in court, that Johnny Depp wasn't going to be part of, the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie,
which is funny because Johnny Depp was the plaintiff in this situation. Yeah. Like he's not defending himself from any accusations.
Well, there are other cases out there. That's the thing. This is just one of
but both of them.
The one that was
for libel in Virginia. Yeah.
The other ones we have no. I think this is the reason we got the attention is the one that's actually progressing. The other ones, I don't know what stages they are actually in. If charges have actually been brought, or if it's just, or if other charges are just under investigation.
Well, I mean, I just want to clarify the only other legal case in this issue is the one in Virginia, which is again him suing her for libel, right? Because she put all those photos out to those doctored photos of her alleged release to People magazine, and that case that I think will turn that around.
I was going to say that case might have a better chance because it's America. And I think the laws are a little bit different than they are in the UK.
And if there's a jury trial, she's finished. You put a bunch of people in a room together, they'll figure that this person's a con artist, right? Average people can figure her out real quick.
Yeah.
So I really don't. What else is there to say about this topic? Honestly, I mean,
it's something
we're all pretty much in agreement.
Yeah, there's really
right. We should address it. We should address their futures. I personally believe that she actually will not. I mean, and this is against what Tom said. I don't think she's going to make a comeback. I do believe that. I personally believe there was something sinister about how this all happened to protect her, but ultimately, the hatred that has grown for Amber Heard in the past year, the public hatred for her, will make it very bad economically to put her in any movies. People will boycott. It won't be one of these fake boycotts. It will be people not going to see Aquaman 2.
I hope it's true. I hope you're right, Cameron. But again, I know just as well as I do, these people live in a bubble. And in this bubble, they will see it as if we fire her, that is bad press. That is bad optics. Now, I've said before, even if she was found, to be the one which we knew, found out eventually down the line here through all the proof we've seen so far, to be the aggressor in this situation, they were never going to fire her anyway. What would happen was they would just make another movie without her, and then when they would bring it up, they would just, she's just not part of this story. She's not gone. She's not fired. Yeah, she just, maybe we'll bring her back next time. And then, of course, but underneath their breath, yeah, right.
I still think that's
exactly. That's probably what's going to happen, yeah.
I think they may even, just to try to cover their bases, like you're saying, Tom, they may even film some scenes with her, and they'll just end up on the editing floor. They're going to gauge where the world is. By the time Aquaman 2 comes out, by that time, the Virginia trial will be either resolved or be deep into it, right? And I think the public uproar is going to go out again. It's just bad PR. We'll see.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to get the back end of YouTube fixed with something real quick. Sorry about that. I was trying to also get the chat pulled up to see what the audience has been saying about the Amber Heard stuff, because this is something we've covered for, I guess, since all of this year. We've definitely been covered on the podcast, at least. It's interesting to go back and listen to the news that comes out and everyone's take. That's, I think, what one of the benefits of a podcast, a weekly show like this, is you can kind of follow the journey with people that you enjoy listening to.
Well, and this is one of those times I almost got to remind you guys that we almost work in our own little circle here. Like, again, a lot of the people in the chat are probably going to agree with us because we're all like-minded in a lot of ways. But I've already run into people in my own, personal circle, friends on Facebook and whatnot like that are totally oblivious to the idea that she is innocent, or that she is a part of this in any way, and he is innocent in any way. They as far as they see it, it's what the media is presenting. Like I said, I've already spent half the afternoon here and there correcting people about shit already that and stuff I didn't even know about that other deal, Cameron. I'm glad to know about that now, if that's true. So like, that's the thing, is there's a lot going on where the normies or the people that are out of the entertainment circle, I don't think are really keeping up with this. Mm-hmm. And what they see is that Johnny Depp is what the headline says.
Yeah. I do think I definitely think there are normies that are living on the surface of it. I've encountered them and argue with them on Twitter a lot. But I've been shocked by the level of widespread knowledge of the situation. Even my sister was initially pro Amber Heard for a while, and she was like, you're being sexist, you're supporting a white beater. And then after that, she started hearing more about it, and she ain't exactly somebody who looks deep into entertainment. She lives on the surface like most people. She came back to me and said, "Yeah, I think she cut off his finger. I was wrong. That's one crazy ass witch."
And I don't want to call us an echo chamber, Alejandro. What I want to say is we are a very eclectic group of people with a lot of different opinions and from a lot of different walks of life. But what we all seem to have is common sense.
Yeah, and that's why we've had a range of conversations on everything that we've talked about so far. But it's within the range of rational people discussing things.
Absolutely. Like, but again, we got to remember, like, not everybody else is going to hear all those audio tapes we did. Not everybody else is going to see the videos. Cameron, hey, Anna.
Hey, guess what just happened?
Tell me it's good news.
My Twitter account got locked because some asshole copyright claimed one of those Henry Cavill photos that I retweeted.
Really? Say what?
I'm assuming that's what it's from, because it just says, it doesn't tell me exactly what it is, but that's the only media I've posted. It says, your account has been locked because Twitter received complaint Digital Millennium Copyright Act notice for content posted on your Twitter account. Under the DMCA, copyright owners can notify Twitter claiming the user is infringed on their copyrighted works. Upon receipt of valid DMCA notice, Twitter will remove the identified material. It does not say or provide what it was, though.
Welcome to 1984, folks.
I mean, look, I guess in theory, somebody, some photographer who owns a photograph could do that, but it seems more like somebody who's just being a jackass,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to report you. And by the way, let me just say welcome to Anna, because we've never been on a stream together, and I've been a fan for probably about 3 years now, going back to the early days of The Last Jedi, because you were one of the very first accounts I found, because you had that early video of, The Last Jedi is bad, and it became like 100,000 people saw it, right? It was one of the very first critiques I saw. So I'm delighted to finally be on a stream with you.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. It's nice to meet you. I remember I was posting on Twitter ironically on Twitter, about how it's bullshit whenever they try to do like black characters. I'm like, do freaking Portugal and the Moors. And you were like, yes, do that. And I was like, hey, somebody knows their history.
Well, that's one of the projects. One of the things that we were talking about earlier is, Cameron, what are you doing? One of the projects I have is about the Moors. It's about the last war between the Spaniards and the Moors in the 1480s for Granada. And Portugal and the Portuguese are major parts of that story.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm developing that as a TV series, and we just attached a director to it. And we're, hopefully when we figure out when this industry reopens, we'll go out there and hopefully we can sell it to a place like a Netflix or an Amazon.
Dude, that's going to be awesome.
It'll be cool. I mean, the Moors are an incredible story. I mean, that story is just remarkable.
Oh, they are. And everyone that complains about Black history, it's like, go fucking research it, and you'll see what things people, Africans were able to accomplish, especially in Europe. You go to Portugal, half those castles were built by, guess what? The Moors. Guess what color their skin was? Oh, yeah, well, brown, but you guys call it black.
Yeah, and they had remarkable architecture and science when the rest of Europe was going backwards into the Dark Ages. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Funny when you know your history, right?
So Anna, how's your day been? Pretty good though. I know it's a crazy day.
I actually just finished a stream with Critical Drinker. We were talking about Star Trek since the moment I woke up. So it's been a good day, especially since it was good Star Trek, not bad Star Trek. What are you guys talking about?
Right now on the show, we're just talking about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp stuff. We're also going to be covering Mandalorian because the Mandalorian dropped and it didn't drop the ball. So I'm actually excited to talk about that.
Oh, you liked it? Oh, no.
Good. Now we're going to have some debate. This is good.
It was some fun.
Wait, you guys didn't like it?
I just finished explaining on Drinker's channel because somebody super chatted asking about it, and I found that it's better for me to not talk about it because people that's like, yay, Anna, talk about Star Wars. Oh my god, you hated The Last Jedi. Yay, yes, Queen. And then the second I use the exact same logic and reasoning on something they like, it's like, you're the Antichrist, go away. Shut up. Just let us enjoy it.
Welcome to YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, that was on Twitter because I haven't talked about it.
Or welcome to Twitter, either or.
I didn't even watch it, and they're really mad at me for that because I'm like, I didn't like last season, so
I didn't like last season either.
They're trying to get back on their feet. And I said this, I actually said this on Jeremy's channel that caused a lot of attention months ago. I have a friend who works with Jon Favreau in his inner circle. And he told me just before the lockdowns, we had coffee before everyone said you can't go out anymore. He told me, look, John's told me very directly that he was shocked by how bad The Last Jedi was. And then he contacted these guys, said, hey, can I get involved in your Star Wars franchise? I think I can help fix this thing, right? And so he's trying to get it back on track, and it's still a process because when you've had a patient that's essentially died on the table, you're trying to bring it back to life here, and that's what Star Wars and Star Trek. You can just forget about it because Star Trek is still dead on the table, I think.
Fun fact, though, my friend Isaac is in that first episode. This first episode of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's the.
Oh no, he's in Mando, not Star Trek.
Yeah, no, Mando season 2. Yeah, he's the Twi'lek at the door.
Okay, cool.
Underground fighting place, and he was. So I called him up. I was like, I didn't know you were in this, and he was like, yeah, it was all hush hush and whatnot. So now everyone's.
He didn't call you to get you in.
Well, he actually got on it because of a friend he knew from working previously. This actually wasn't even through his agent or anything like that. It was through a friend who was like, hey, I've worked with this guy before. But he said, he's got some stories for us, including some Jon Favreau stories. So we're excited to hang out with him again.
Did he get to touch Baby Yoda? That's the most important part of this entire story.
I will be sure to ask him when we next hang out. Although Jeff and I did just get a box from a listener.
What's in the box, Jesse? Is it a head?
It's connected to a body. We did get a little Baby Yoda figure in it.
Yeah.
So
that's the first thing she said is Anna's gonna love this, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Well, guys, I did not empty my bladder before I got off the last stream. I immediately jumped over here, so I will be right back.
Okay, so Anna, while you're taking care of business, so Kamran, last season The Mandalorian, did you or did you not like it? I missed.
Can I be absolutely honest with you? I haven't watched it.
Fair enough.
I haven't watched it because I was really damaged by The Last Jedi. I actually said I'm not going to watch any Star Wars, new Disney Star Wars, and I didn't watch Solo, and I didn't watch Episode 9 or whatever that was. And,
lucky you.
And I just honestly I don't want to give them my money. I mean, I'm like, if it were to come out on DVD, I'd probably watch the DVD, but I don't want to pay for the Disney service because I feel really personally scarred by what Disney did to Star Wars. I took it very personally. And I'm glad. I mean, I feel like I know the story because I follow Star Wars and people are always talking about it. And I watch your live stream and all that. And I'm glad to see that it seems to be better, even though I think Mecca has a lot of critiques of it, which are probably very fair. I can't get back into it. It hurt me too much. It'll be a while.
Fair enough. I think it's interesting too. I've had listeners after I made that last Star Wars toy video reach out and share with me other Mandalorian stuff. Some had been discounted and some looks like it's headed that path. So I don't know if we're going to see that merchandise in general for Star Wars just didn't catch on with this next generation, or if it was just prequel era stuff or sequel era stuff.
Well, the new one is ugly. I've seen pictures of the new one of the Mandalorian, of the actor without the helmet on. It's just like his face is bloated. It's a bad looking doll. I don't get it.
I'll show it real quick. It's hilarious how bad it is.
I mean, while you're looking for it, I mean, those action figures were. I mean, I remember my Luke Skywalker Han Solo action figures. Those were good looking, aesthetically designed toys in the 70s and the 80s. So I don't know what's happening to these people.
Well, look at this action figure is so ugly. They're writing articles about it. So let's take a detour from the Mandalorian show and check it out. Here's a picture of it, folks, right there. Jesse, what do you think of that?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Oh my God! What? Ew! What?
Is that Leslie Headland?
No, that's Pedro Pascal.
Pedro. No wonder he wants to quit the show. Jesus fucking Christ.
I mean, it looks like he's been eating donuts inside that helmet for a year.
Yeah, I guess it's what happens when you take care of children. You eat donuts for a year.
Dude,
So
seriously, work out a little bit. I mean, what the hell?
Seriously.
So Mandalorian Black Series figure really messed up Pedro Pascal's face. So Screen Rant actually took the time to write an article. This is the TLDR. It says, after nearly a year of waiting, The Mandalorian Season 2 is almost here. Disney is pushing the show with a string of tie-in merchandise. Unfortunately, not all collectibles inspired by The Mandalorian are on the same level. With Target's latest Mandalorian Black Series not exactly looking like Pedro Pascal. The set comes with Baby Yoda and Din Djarin, as well as the option to take his mask off. Looking closer at Mando's face, however, he barely looks like Pascal. To be fair, Din's actual face only been seen one time in the Mandalorian series thus far. It's a nice-looking toy until you get to that helmeted head, or unhelmeted head.
Yep.
This is cool. Mandalorian Beskar steel. He's even got his little signet of the Mudhorn. But, what the hell is that? There are older Star Wars figures, like Kevin said, that look closer to what they're supposed to be than that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure the toy company wants to make money, and because some part of me would think, is this like revenge on Pascal? There's all these rumors. Doomcock's been saying the stories he's hearing about him being difficult and walking off the show, or at least walking off part of the season. I mean, I don't know if they sent a badly designed thing as sort of a punishment to him. There's people in Hollywood that are small enough to do that.
Maybe this is why he walked off.
Maybe he saw that and said, "This." What do you
They're
think?
like, hey, look what we found, man.
I mean, it's like, what the hell? I mean, seriously. I mean, it's like what's happening with the new Batwoman costume. They got a new actress for the CW show Batwoman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's a good actress. She's African American, and they lost their original not that great actress. And then the costume
She's not African American. She's German.
It's terrible. And then I'm sorry.
I just want to say she's German American. She identifies as German. Like, I know she has African ancestry, but I do think it's important to know, and I think it is important and respectful to her. She doesn't identify as African American or Black American or Black anything. She identifies as German American.
Well, God bless. I certainly know that they were promoting the fact she was a racial minority, at least.
Oh, of course.
And that she's LGBT.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But I mean, the actress is a very attractive woman, and the early photos they put out of her in this Batwoman suit are ugly. I mean, the wig is ugly, the design is ugly, and you're like, why are you doing this? I mean, it's really
What is wrong with it? Acknowledging that pretty women are pretty?
Because it makes ugly women insecure.
Exactly. like it's my fucking problem.
I know.
Ruby Rose,
it's great.
Her costume was fine. So I'm going to give my opinion here as having worked in television for almost 20 years as a writer. There's subconscious or subconscious racism there. I've worked on many shows where you'll have the minority cast and they're just treated differently, and they are made to look differently because the people making the decisions, who think they're all very liberal, actually have this little bit of let's put them in their place racism.
Yep, exactly. The same people who want to run around telling us how racist we are and how much they do every day for justice are the ones actually not confronting their own personal biases and letting it run rampant in their decision making. You're absolutely right.
Well, and I mean, just look at freaking Star Trek. Did they treat Uhura any differently? No, they made her beautiful, and they made her just as beautiful. Well, I mean, she's beautiful naturally, but I mean, they dressed her, they did her makeup, and it was all in the same style as all the other women. They treated everyone on that show equally.
Yep.
And they didn't dress her down or like give her a special uniform because she was Black. They're like, no, you're a human woman. Unless you're an alien, you don't get a special costume. And even Spock doesn't have a special costume. You only get into that when you have like somebody like Worf, who's a Klingon. And he's got like the little Klingon sash thingy.
Exactly. No, exactly, which is amazing that you have a show that came out in the '60s that's more progressive than a lot of what's on television today.
Well, because they were coming from a place of actually looking at the human condition, and especially in the '60s, a lot of the injustices of our world were being put out there, and they were real injustices, right?
Yeah.
And now today, people, there's still injustice in the world, but a lot of people are railing against imaginary injustices, right?
Exactly.
And so now they've got to create shows to address imaginary injustices because they're running out of real stuff, even though that real stuff is going on.
Exactly. Well, but because it's the same people who have the free time to watch the shows and go to the movies are the same people who have the free time to complain and bitch about these imaginary injustices. So they've got to appeal to that demographic. They got to pander to that demographic. They don't give a shit about the real actual problems that are facing the real actual Americans out there working these 9-to-5 jobs who don't have time because they're working, overtime or extra shifts or part-time jobs on the weekend to go spend their money on entertainment or on their Netflix subscription and sit home for 8 hours a day binge watching these shows that cover all these important social issues. These shows are made for the people who are bitching about these things. So that's exactly why those are the issues it's going to cover. They don't want to be confronted with real racism, with real the real harshness of the world, because it'll make them feel bad. Why aren't I doing something about this? No, because I can sit on my Twitter account and I can bitch at a corporation or call for an armchair boycott of some company because of the pink tax, and think I'm doing something great for feminism. If you believe all injustice can be solved with a viral Twitter post, then you don't want to be confronted with life's harsh realities.
I would just say that if everyone just got on the bandwagon with me and just united, world peace would be like just a picture of Henry Cavill's ass. Like that's a Twitter post that should go viral. But that could unite the world. Like, let's just all look at Henry Cavill or puppies and just be happy.
Well, this is going to break your heart as much as it breaks mine. I was up for a job on the Witcher prequel. A few weeks ago, I interviewed for it. A great interview with the showrunner. Ultimately, they brought somebody over from the other show, and I didn't get that job. But it was like I had not watched The Witcher before that. Then I watched it, and obviously in advance of the interview, and I was like, "This is a great show." I was like, "This is a really good show," and Cavill's great in it.
It's even better if you fast forward all the scenes that he's not in.
That's how Mandalorian. Fast forward for Baby Yoda.
No, I'm actually serious, because if you watch it once all the way through and then you watch it again and you fast forward all the scenes he's not in, it makes the scenes with Yennefer and Ciri more special because you're actually watching a show about The Witcher. Because in the books, Yennefer doesn't show up till way later. And they talk about her in the first one in their love story, but it's all from Geralt's point of view.
Yeah.
And Yennefer, even in the game, when she shows up, it's like, oh yay, I finally get that awesome companion with all this powers. It's going to help me on my mission,
Well, what I loved about the show in particular, just as a writer, was how they pulled off the magical thing of having 3 storylines that you do not realize are in different timelines until about episode 4 or 5, right? Halfway through the season, you're like, wait a minute. Everything I've been watching with Yennefer is taking place 100 years before Geralt. What? And you're like, well, how are they all going to meet, right? And the genius, the confidence of that storytelling, that was really good writing.
I still want to check the show out. I feel.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
We just started.
The 3 storylines are not on the same timeline. My apologies. It's done.
We just started watching. What is that show? The
Servant.
The Servant that
M. Night Shyamalan directed one on a.
Oh, fuck
Apple.
him. He's dead to me.
Why?
Is it any good?
Yeah.
So
The
far,
Last Airbender, that's why.
we watched the first episode and we liked it so far.
Anna, the man has redeemed himself.
No.
Anna doesn't like his other movies though either. She doesn't
Hitler
like his
can't be redeemed, neither can M. Night Shyamalan.
Wow, that's a strong
We went there.
comparison.
We went there. What is it? Godwin's Law? We just went to Godwin's Law. Here we go.
Yep, I went there.
It's a lost cause when it comes to Shyamalan. She doesn't even like The Sixth Sense.
Folks in the
If there
chat,
was a zombie apocalypse and I had the chance to save him, I would not only trip him, but I would push him into them.
yeah, but he could put you in his next movie.
I don't fucking care. I have no desire to be a movie star.
Fair point. I guess M. Night Shyamalan's turning into hamburger meat for zombies.
Well, I've always said, with all respect to Mr. Shyamalan, because I do like The Sixth Sense, maybe a couple other things. I like Signs, whatever. For a long time, his was the career you didn't want because he starts off at the top of the mountain with The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then this is his career, like creatively and and just like success-wise, right? Now he's sort of getting back some mojo, but
True.
that's not you. You want it the other way around. You want to be struggling in the first part of your career, not being appreciated, and then you want to have like this
and find your breakthrough.
Yeah, this is not the career you want. That's damaging psychologically.
Yeah, you're like, I had it all. What did I do?
He blamed backlash on Americans not understanding his vision for whatchamacallit, Last Airbender, and I'm like, no, you're a fucking idiot. That's why. Why on earth would you put earthbenders on a prison in the forest where they're surrounded by what? Earth!
Oh, look, helicopters, Jesse.
I'm sorry. Change the subject because I'll be stuck on this.
What was that $1 million that you agreed if you heard a helicopter
You heard
coming?
a helicopter. Was that the one where I got shot into space, or was that the one where?
It wasn't the shot in the space.
No. It was one that we knew. It was like, well, you'll just. Oh no! It was the one where it's like you lose your previous purchase.
Oh yeah.
So we just said anytime we bought something, we would just make sure our previous purchase was always something trivial.
So we just lost our lunch.
So how does that work?
What on earth are you talking about?
It's
Anna,
the $1 million
remember-
butt game. You played this.
Remember when we were in Chicago and we were playing our game and we were all drinking?
No, I was drunk.
Oh, I have video of it. It's on our Patreon
There's
page,
proof.
folks. You can go back and
Oh my god, no, that game.
Yep.
yeah, that game.
Did you get wild and wacky? What happened?
We got kicked out of the hotel.
That happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anna made some wild and preposterous claims.
They're all true.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that you really want to say that right now.
Okay, never mind. I don't
those are
remember.
cut out.
I just remember one was like a purse full of dildos.
The one,
Okay, I'm awake now. What's happening?
yeah, the thing about that's the thing. It was something where it was like, every time something happens, you trip and sex toys fall out of your purse or something like that. And Anna was like, yeah, no problem. That's happened to me before. And we were like, what? Story time, please. So.
Well, you remember this in vino veritas, which is what the Romans said. In wine, there is truth, right? When you're drunk, true nature is revealed. So, in vino veritas.
You know, it sucks having Star Trek canceled because that was our last ditch effort to get together with other friends in our sphere as well as fans and stuff.
It was going to be such a nice time.
There's no reason not to still go other than, lockdowns and stuff like that. Because the convention itself was kind of they come out and they parade around and, tell you what political party to vote for. And they basically tell you how they're the best and the greatest. And, we were the first ever diverse thing with the diversity, diverse.
Yeah, diverse.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
Star Trek, put out a good movie and then we'll talk.
Exactly.
So, actually, it was weird. We were watching football yesterday, and then there was that commercial for the movies on CBS. And I was like, man, how many people are going to turn this one off? Because it was Star Trek Beyond. I know that's the one you like more than Into Darkness. That killed the franchise for me. Like, I have no desire to ever see that.
First one didn't?
No. It wasn't as bad as the third one or the second one.
I liked the first one enough. Hated Into Darkness, could tolerate Beyond.
That's exactly my thing. I enjoyed the first one. I thought, okay, this is interesting. I was shocked when they blew up Vulcan, and I was like, oh, okay, so they because I thought it was we're just gonna go back and now have a chance to experience their early adventures before the television show, right? Oh, it's a whole new timeline. I didn't see that coming. I was like, okay, and I thought the actors were very good.
I think the best thing about it was the cast.
Yeah, I thought I thought they did the casting really nicely. And I did think I'm with you. I thought it was I liked, even if I thought the way they did it was a little bit, J.J. Abrams stupid timey-wimey bullshit. I liked the fact that they wanted to justify an alternate timeline so that the thing is, it was so stupid though, because it was like you did all this work in the first movie to justify an alternate timeline, so you're not rehashing the same stories we already know about, so you're not bound to the lore of the original one, but you can tell new stories without, being disrespectful to the original lore. And then they fucked it all up by immediately making the second movie a rehash of, a remake of another Star Trek movie.
And a bad one, a really bad one. The Wrath of Khan
Really, really bad one.
Terrible.
Yeah, how can you try to remake the Wrath of Khan and you even use dialogue from the Wrath of Khan and make it bad?
Exactly.
Oh, not only that, Jesse, I would say for like a casual Star Trek viewer, it might slip your mind, but he did break the lore in the very first one. You're telling me that Romulans, like the most cutthroat for the Empire,
yeah, we did talk about this, and you
would
are
just
right.
sit there for 20 fucking years, not go with all of this futuristic knowledge and technology, and not go tell the Romulans, hey, this is everything that's going to happen in like these 20 years, and then until when we are, and let's go take over the entire Alpha and Beta Quadrant. Also, let's get the fuck out of here so the planet doesn't get destroyed and everyone dies.
The only excuse I'll give to that is that Romulan's name was Nero, which was obviously one of the Psycho Emperors. So the only justification would be this guy is just straight crazy.
Wait, doesn't
but there's not other Romulans that can't contact the Romulan High Command through
that is actually explained in deleted scenes, by the way.
That's even worse, Tom, because they're in a Klingon prison. You're telling me the Klingons with futuristic technology during this time period wouldn't use that to take over the galaxy, including...
Oh, no, I agree with you 100%. No, I'm just saying, like, they did try to even explain that. It's just, it's still
even worse. It's even worse. I'm sorry my mouth is full, but the Klingons would totally fuck that shit up.
I thought he said something like it isn't there. We looked for it or something. Doesn't Eric Manis?
No. He says, I don't think he just says it's been destroyed because he obsessively believes his world is gone. And then the captain says, I guess it's Pike, says, no, it's still out there. I'm like, yeah. And I was thinking when I watched, I was like, yeah, why didn't you go back to your coordinates?
Because in the deleted scene, he winds up in a prison.
Okay. I didn't know that deleted scene. So
yeah, and they cut it all out. Makes
more sense now. You know, the only one good thing I'll say on that original, my good friend Farhan Tahir played the starship captain that was Kirk's dad's captain who gets killed, like Pakistani dude at the beginning, who's like, I don't know who Ambassador Spock is, and then he dies, and then Kirk's dad takes the ship, right? That was my good friend Farhan Tahir, and so I was glad to do it.
Isn't that the guy from Iron Man?
Yeah, the guy from Iron Man.
Okay,
I thought he like me, and he's a great actor and a really good guy.
He is. He makes a really good bad guy.
Nice.
He's a great person. And the thing is, he's the most nicest person I know. He's such a decent, like honorable person. He's like old school chivalry honor guy, sort of guy.
Oh, I love when we get people in here who've met, some of these actors or filmmakers that we've heard about, and you get to hear like, oh, this guy's a good guy. That guy's it's nice to know like, oh, there's some decent folk out there.
Yeah.
So speaking of folk out there, we have a few super chats from the folks out there, so I'd like to read those, and we'll keep on going. We'll talk about the Mandalorian. Let's see. Bowie8085, thank you very much. He says, Razor, do you plan on doing a Metal Mythos on Sabotage? Tom, apparently there was a slight communications error with Razorfist, so we're trying to get him back on another week, correct?
Yeah, hopefully next week, if worse comes to worse. But yeah, there was I think he might have thought we meant next Tuesday, but I'm going to try and clear all that up. So like, sorry about that, folks. That was my bad.
I thought it was weird. I'm like, Razorfist on election night, not on his channel. I'm like, did he?
Yeah, and I double checked with him, and I think he didn't read the message right or something. Or like I said, there was a misinterpretation somewhere in there. And it's no big deal. Shit happens,
Oh yeah, there's no bad blood anywhere across the board. I thought it was funny. I was like, this seems off, but maybe something happened, and I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to hope it happens. But, yeah, folks, so Bowie8085, if you want to at me in the chat and ask us something else, we'd love to answer something for you. Liquor Jim says, quite the lineup for this evening. Hail the High Council, hashtag Fandom Menace. Liquor Jim, thank you very much. Hail you as well, sir. Mr. Millennium says, hail the High Council. It's scary out there. I'm going to stay here. I have no reason to go out tonight. Anyone else going out tonight?
What's outside?
Exactly.
Nothing's happening. I mean, look, I live in liberal Santa Monica, and it's funny because I went to my bank, and it's like surrounded by armed guards and like totally boarded up. Like, and there's like nothing happening here, and it was like, all right, whatever.
Dude, they boarded up our local bank too when we were driving to IHOP. That's where we were going. And
I think we're gonna be okay. I don't know, we don't want to talk about the election, but I think we're gonna be okay this week. I think there's gonna, whatever happens, I think people are just burned out of this crap. And I don't think they have the energy to keep burning this all down.
So people are resilient. We improvise. We're sturdy. No matter what, we get through stuff. We're a lot tougher than I think. I mean, there's a reason why we dominate the planet is because we're resilient. So
I think we need to come together as a society and fight an even greater evil: the fact that 24-hour Christmas music has already started.
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
the
that
actual
pumpkin
plot?
spice everything.
This Christmas bullshit is unacceptable.
I love
can't-
Christmas.
I can't do 2 months of nonstop Christmas music. I will commit homicide. I will go.
Oh,
crazy.
they weren't even waiting until Halloween was over this time around. They were just like getting the shit out there. It was like, fuck, just.
Oh, I know. It was like the second week of October, and the Christmas shit was out at my Michael's.
Yeah, they didn't even give a shit this well. They're like, oh, they're probably canceling Halloween, so.
Speaking of, they still haven't resolved the shit for my painting. Fuck Michael's. If you had a Twitter, I would be adding you all day, just cursing you out. But yeah.
So on music, Christmas music never ends. Maybe this is a generational thing because I think at least a few of you are at least a few years younger than me. And so, do you guys remember the Yule log? Did you ever see that as kids?
Oh,
that
yeah.
That was like there'd be a channel. And for me in New York City, it was like channel 11, and like all Christmas Day, they would just have a log burning, and they'd play Christmas music all day
Yeah,
long.
they got a few
Yeah,
channels that do that
They
now,
have them
yeah.
on Netflix. It's like the Christmas fireplace.
Oh yeah, you can get it. You can get the fireplace. On
But
that.
no, growing up, I don't remember a lot of Christmas stuff starting until like the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that was even when I was a kid. That's when it started. It was you had Now Thanksgiving just gets completely glossed over. We just go straight into from Halloween.
Well, that's because Thanksgiving is racist.
Thanksgiving is the shit. It's my favorite holiday, and everyone can fuck themselves if they don't like it.
I don't like Thanksgiving food, but I like Thanksgiving.
Well, that's acceptable.
So
Thanksgiving.
I wrote a movie which has not been made yet, but it's one of my favorite movies. I wrote sort of a fictionalized version of the Mayflower incident, right? Of the Mayflower story, right? But it's actually told from the point of view of children. There were children on the Mayflower historically that had been separated from their parents. It's a very interesting thing. So, and I made it like this big Disney action movie where they actually culminates in one of the historical battles between some of the native tribes. And so I don't know if that movie's ever going to get made, but that would have been the cool version of Thanksgiving that we never got to see.
Huh. I like it.
I know you don't like Friends, Jesse, but every Friends has like a Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah, where they play football in the park.
Huh?
Where they play football in the park.
Oh, that's a good episode.
See, the sad part is because of television syndication, I've seen way more episodes of Friends that I've wanted to see.
You
Okay.
cannot
Yeah,
make too
episode
many episodes of Friends. Friends is life.
Friends is the most generic show of the 90s.
No, it's
And you
not.
can-
It's great.
I was going to say that you can take that as a positive or a negative.
Friends
Right when I got in here,
I mean,
right when I got in here, didn't you guys have like a super chat or something that said it was an echo chamber? And I feel like I've disagreed with almost everything.
That's hilarious. Also, how was it an echo chamber even before you got in here? I feel like all we've done was like pleasantly disagree with each other all night.
Do they want us to violently?
Like,
yes, let's
Be
violently
like, fuck
disagree.
you! Like, we can start screaming.
yeah, I can start telling you guys you're all idiots for your opinions if you'd like. If you make this feel more like America.
We can start screaming about the new
I'll
Borat
find
movie.
some to get offended about sooner or later.
How
Oh,
dare
yeah,
how
America,
dare you?
your glasses are hard to draw. Same with you, Tom. Fuck
Any
both
of-
of you.
Any of you guys see the new Borat movie?
No.
No, I like the first one. I just don't feel any desire to see this one because this one feels to me just to be a political agenda rather than just the amusement of Borat, which was the joy of the original Borat movie was the jokes on him, right? Borat is the butt of the jokes, and in the process, you get to see how Americans react to this, right? But from what I understand of this, it's kind of flipping the joke around, which doesn't work for me.
Yeah, they to a degree, but they
I guess
write
they
him out
do,
of
but
a
I-
good chunk of the movie, though, when you think about it.
Yeah, I guess they do that, but it works. Like it doesn't not work.
Well, the nice thing is they address the number one concern I think 90% of the people had is how is he not going to get recognized after how popular the first movie was? Honestly, the first 5 minutes is that.
Yeah,
It's just like him in America, and people are going, "Oh my God, it's Borat!" and they're chasing him down the street. I think there's a part where he doesn't even have pants on, and he's running in underwear.
he's trying to people are still trying to like pay for his autograph while he's in his underwear and shit. So like it's a lot of it is just the usual Borat hijinks and antics. And the thing is like if you go back and watch the first Borat movie, the political commentary is there. I don't think it's any heavier handed in this one than it was in the first one. I think people just forgot that because it was such a fun, novel thing. And at the time the first one came out, we weren't concerned. You know, someone who was conservative could watch a movie with a liberal slant and still enjoy it if it had other things that were fun or funny or whatever, you know, and now you're just not allowed to. So I don't feel like this one was any more political than the last one was, because I don't think the last one's not political. The last one is perfectly political. It's chock full of commentary. It's just, it's the spectacle and the humor. And I think that the second one, the spectacle's there, the humor's there, and the commentary's there.
Okay.
And the one thing that I think it just didn't have as many quotable moments.
No, because the quotable Borat shit is just his like intro and a couple other things. But you know what?
We know the character already. It's kind of hard
for being like a 14-year gap. It's fine.
I've never seen Borat.
Oh, you should watch the first one. It's really
so
fucking
First one is great, and his obsession with Pamela Anderson is great.
Their asses off at this one. So.
That's true. I think Miss Ninja Julian has a good take too. I enjoyed it, but not better than the first. That's my overall.
That's my overall feeling. It's like a sequel. When you see this, you're like, "This is good." I feel similarly like how I felt about the Deadpool sequel, where I was like, I was happy to watch it, but it just didn't hold a candle to the first.
Yeah.
Although upon second viewing, I liked the Deadpool sequel a lot more.
I have not had a second viewing because that's
Anytime
how little I
you
liked it.
Anytime.
But I'll watch it again. So speaking of stuff that's debatable in terms of quality, Anna, now that you're back, you've taken care of business. Let's talk about The Mandalorian. The first episode dropped, and so I guess it's more divisive than I thought. So let's just do a quick roundtable. So Cameron, you're out. Not a roundtable, but a count tally. So Cameron, you haven't watched it. Mecca, are you for or against, or you have not watched it?
Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen this new episode.
Okay, Tom?
I enjoyed the show more as I went through the first season. I was a little let down by this first episode, but it more so just felt like we've already seen this story before in that one episode with the Jawas. And
I agree with that.
It felt a little stretched out just so they could be like, oh yeah, we got this big premiere episode. And there was just a lot of shit that normally I would have cut out of an episode. Just a lot
I feel like a lot of The Mandalorian is like that, though. Like, it purposely tells the story that meandering pace, which is something I enjoyed about the first season. I think you're right about the Jawa thing. It definitely felt like a rehash of the Mudhorn to an extent, but at the same time, bringing in, there were certain elements that made it more okay. Like, yes, the basic concept here is the same, but it's a crate dragon, which is something we know about, we've heard about from the lore. It was cool to see.
And that was cool. Like,
yeah.
So before we jump ahead, Tom, are you good or yay or nay?
So far, I kind of feel like I did with the beginning of the first season. I'm not convinced that this is going to work yet. Like, I did come on board later into the second season, and I totally acknowledge its flaws, but I also acknowledge that it's a fun Western meets Eastern storytelling that we got from the original Star Wars. And, Star Wars was very Kurosawa inspired, along with Westerns and, Sergio Leone type Westerns and stuff like that. And it's still grasping to that as long as it stays that course. I really loved Timothy Olyphant in this episode. He was amazing.
Oh, he's a great actor.
I was like, why wasn't he the Mandalorian to begin with?
I kind of had that. I was like, he could have worked as that character.
He's much more handsome in the nicest way possible too. And that's coming from somebody that likes Hispanic guys.
I like Pedro Pascal's aesthetic. I'm fine. The thing is, it's like, until you just said you wish you'd seen him as the Mandalorian, I had no issue with Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. But now that you've said that, I'm like, that kind of aesthetic could have really worked for this character.
And that's what Timothy Olyphant would bring to the table, is he brings that, let's face it, he's been in Deadwood, Justified, all these roles that really kind of give you that impression that he's this,
Sure.
type of character. Yeah.
That said, though, maybe would have liked him as a casting choice if you weren't, if you were going to actually do a Boba Fett something and you weren't going to use Tamara Morrison. I could see him more in the Boba Fett role, where Boba Fett feels a little more like this rogue character, whereas the Mandalorian, even though goes rogue from the bounty, the bounty group and whatnot in the first season, he's very much like, he has this religious adherence to the Mandalorian code that I don't think we would have gotten if it was about a Boba Fett centered.
And I got to correct something with Donkey Saurus Rex. I think Donkey Saurus forgot that he played the bad guy in Live Free to Die Hard, and he was one of the better parts of that film. Yeah. And he was Mickey in Scream 2.
Dude, have you-
his best movie, in my opinion, I love Timothy Olyphant, is The Girl Next Door, where he plays a sleazy porn producer. He's brilliant.
He has played so many different roles that it's not even
utterly
funny.
brilliant. Because he's like the sleazy porn producer surrounded by hot girls who's like trying to tempt these teens to get involved in the industry. And then he gets really threatening and dangerous. And there's this whole range that he goes to. You're like, wait a minute, this dude just became like really scary all of a sudden. How did that happen?
He really has a look that slides into so many different aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat, actually. Yeah.
My only
pretty impressive.
joking criticism of him is how skinny he was in that armor for Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And how weird
I
he
know.
looked.
When you saw him in silhouette, you're like, this is not supposed to be Boba, because...
Well, yeah, that gave it away a little bit. Well, I thought they were actually kind of fuck with us a little bit, because if you look at the original Star Wars films, the guy they got playing, I can't remember his name, sorry, I apologize.
Jeremy Bullock?
Yeah, he is not the same frame as the character that plays Jango Fett and is playing Boba Fett now.
Yeah.
Like, he is most definitely smaller framed. So I thought maybe at first they were trying to mess with us. I could be wrong, though. But what were you going to say, Anna? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I'm sorry about that.
All right,
Oh, I figured it out.
Okay.
My thought was, and this is me, there's a hopeful thought, and then there's a very sad, like, oh my God, I hope not thought. I was like, maybe it's because he's on Tatooine and he doesn't have enough food, so that's why he's so skinny. Reality thought was, the second I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, I want to feed him. And then I was like, oh shit. I remember when I saw that picture of Chadwick Boseman and I was like, what role is he doing? And then we found out what happened. So I'm like, is he okay? And then I aggressively started Googling to make sure he was okay. And I didn't find anything out. So I am actually worried.
So,
Well, that's upsetting.
yeah,
to think about.
let's forget the brighter pastures.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So you and I, Jesse, are the only not super pro, but we're the firmly pro for this episode.
Yeah, I definitely in the pro camp. Definitely have a lot of concerns for the season going forwards. Definitely understand people's concerns about this episode. But overall pro. You know, I liked a lot of things. I did also notice there were moments, I think, evidence that the people on The Mandalorian, at least Jon Favreau and certain people in his camp are listening. I noticed there was a pointed shot in one of the fight scenes where somebody punches him in the helmet, or I think doesn't he use his helmet to absorb a punch, and the guy very hurts his hand.
Yeah,
like 3 times.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so they're listening. So they're like, we get you. That was stupid. Here you go. That was dumb.
it's like when the Stranger Things producers were worried about the Barb plot line because fans complained on Twitter and wrote that stupid song "Justice for Barb," but like it was the dumbest plot point, and her action figure has less value than Rose Tico. Like if you need plastic to melt, buy a Barb figure from Stranger Things.
I'm not even sure why that was a thing, other than people were just more or less goofing on her.
That's what it was, the troll job that Netflix bought into because they're stupid. That's why their prices went up. Their stock prices were hurting earlier this year. Yay, Netflix! You're so awesome.
Well,
I like that builder.
Now I'm going to give some insight into what's happening in Netflix from the industry point of view. It's actually, if any of you are following the trades, they've actually recently gone through major upheavals of their executive group, which was a very tight-knit group of people that had developed a really good reputation amongst writers and filmmakers. The executives that were there were seen as really smart people that they were the ones everyone wanted to bring their projects to. And a lot of those people have been let go in the last few weeks because they're just going through their own changes. And so there's a whole new cast of people that are being brought in, and there's a lot of nervousness in the industry that people are afraid. Are these new executives going to be able to keep the quality and the consistency of Netflix shows going? I've got a few shows I'm about to pitch Netflix, and one of the reasons we stopped is like, oh, well, who's the executive we're pitching to? Is somebody in that position yet? It's a really strange situation at Netflix right now. I don't know what it's going to mean for the next few months.
Well, and that kind of brings us to a point I was thinking about bringing up. I don't know if you really want to get deep into it, Jeff, but going on the whole, like, No Time to Die getting pushed back really caused a lot of issues. And not only that, we're hearing it's costing $1 million a month that it's not released in just interest alone in loans. And then you heard last week, we did a video on this where they tried to sell No Time to Die to all the streaming services and nobody would bite because they had to get at least $600 to $700 million. And I guarantee you that was not even to really necessarily break even, but it was enough to make it a little over even, I bet. And what that tells me is we've been dead on all this fucking time when we tell you guys they can't make the kind of money that these movies need to make anymore, especially without theaters. I mean, it's a sad, scary truth that they're going to have to lose so much money on these next few movies probably, unless the theaters can open up in some way, shape, or form soon. Because I just don't see it working out for them otherwise.
And this is actually the theater situation is what finally woke up a lot of my colleagues in the industry. And most of my colleagues in the industry, they don't share my point of view that I shared early on at the very beginning when we were talking, with Mecca, that, I'm very opposed to lockdowns. I don't believe they're the solution to all of this. And most of my colleagues think I'm very irresponsible about that. Or at least they thought that. When the theater started announcing that they were shutting down in the UK and the US, Regal theaters in particular, right? That's when for the first time, I heard people panicking because then they realized our industry is going to die. It's going to die. And I said, yeah, it's going to die. It's not going to be completely dead. It's going to go through a death knell over the next 2 years, and then will resurrect itself with a new kind of storytelling. We're probably going to go back to smaller budgets and character dramas like the 70s movies. And that will probably be a good thing.
It's going to have to, because we had this conversation earlier on Culture Casinos. Every Tuesday I do a show with him. And basically I broke it down. First things first, the actors are going to have to take a pay cut and learn how to take back end deals. Secondly, the unions aren't going to like it, but shit's going to have to get broke down. Yep. They're not going to be able to sustain the union standard from now on. It's just not going to be able to work.
Well, the thing is, with the unions, one of the ways the unions can change, because the thing is, most of our unions out here are actually guilds, and guilds are supposed to find you work. If our unions want to stay relevant, they'll have to actually become guilds and start being the place that, guarantees creators work. When you've passed the threshold to come into the guild, they actually place you with work.
Right. Well, the problem you have, though, is one of the main reasons that movies cost so much money is that you're required to have X person doing X job. Yeah. And that's where these budgets have gotten so bloated over the years, because they have to appease all the unions, from, the actors down to the craft service union. It's, and again, those things are going to have to learn to negotiate.
Things like labor laws, especially when you're shooting in California.
Right. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff they're going to have to reevaluate, reorder. And that's the only way they're going to be able to afford to do this. And I think a big part of this was because you look at a movie like Bill and Ted that came out. Yeah, it was a hit. But it was only a hit because it only cost $20 million to make. Yeah, exactly. If it had cost more than that, they would have never made their money back. And that's why MGM fucking panicked and tried to sell Bond. I guarantee you that's what happened. Yeah, they're like, we were number one for the last month, and we did not make much more than $40 million. What are we going to do with Bond? It's like...
Cash Henry Cavill, you'll make $1 billion fucking dollars, and it'll all be my money.
There's talk of him being the next Bond. I mean, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I really liked him in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I thought he did a really good job in that movie as a spy. I think.
And granted, yes, if you put a Bond movie out there on streaming, sure, it'll do better than Bill and Ted. Don't get me wrong in the least. I'm not trying to compare the two at all. But you also have an issue is it won't make enough. Mulan proved that.
Their issue is their Bond. Well, first off, the storytelling sucks. Also, he's got a hot bod, but he needs to put a bag over his head because he is not.
Well, even all that stuff aside,
right? I call him Ugly Blonde.
I'm sorry, I'm in a very weird mood now.
No, I understand. It's fine. Blonde. But that is an interesting point too. We'll get to. But all that shit aside, they've spent way too much money and they can't make it back without theaters. That's basically what they're saying with this.
Yeah, and Bond
because the last Bond movie was the biggest one, wasn't it? It made $1 billion, 1.2, didn't it?
That was 2 Bond movies ago.
2 Bond movies ago. Okay, so then I'm not even sure why they spent that much money on this one. Then if the last one went down that bad.
The weirdest thing about the Bond franchise is how, look at R.I.P. Sean Connery, but a lot of people don't know he got the short end of the stick. That's why he quit. Mm-hmm. Because Bond movies made more money. He was locked into a shit contract, so he's making the same on Dr. No as whatever. You only live twice. And that movie's making, Thunderball made almost $100 million in $60s. So dude got screwed over. Long story short, Bond movies need to stop catering to the whims of Daniel Craig, because you can't necessitate a franchise where you put something out every 5 years and they're not that great in the first place. Like maybe 3 years.
And that goes back to what Anna was saying. Yeah, the other problem we have here is nobody's going to see these fucking movies because they suck.
Well, that's the problem. The thing is, I loved some of the recent Craig movies. I really loved Casino Royale. I thought that was great. I enjoyed Skyfall a lot too. The problem is the ones in between that. It's like every other movie isn't good. And my understanding is Mr. Craig has a lot of power to say who the screenwriter is going to be and what the story is going to be. And so some of these stories aren't working. I thought Skyfall worked, and I thought Casino Royale really worked, but not every one of them worked.
Agreed. Skyfall, in hindsight, is essentially The Dark Knight. You can even compare scene to scene, like with Silva in the tank is essentially the Joker in jail and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was such an issue I had with Skyfall too, was that it felt so little like, to me, it felt so little like a Bond film because it was way too focused on Bond.
It's all about psychological
past and his child and all this bullshit. It just didn't feel like that's what I think. It's like it was a fine movie, like same thing Casino Royale, but now you're asking me to buy into a James Bond movie where the Bond doesn't feel like Bond. Mm-hmm. For me, actually, I think Spectre was one of the more watchable ones for me.
Agreed. That's unpopular opinion in the Bond sphere, but that might be I don't know if I'll say it's my favorite Craig one, but it's the one that felt like a Bond movie.
Honestly,
you had henchmen and car chases.
It felt the most like a Bond movie. It might be my favorite Craig.
You feel like Roger Moore would be in that movie. I mean, that's it felt like a 70s Bond movie to me. Yeah, which is good. I like the 70s Bond movies.
Yeah.
I just miss when Bond movies had fun because here's the thing, Cameron, you could definitely talk about trends in Hollywood all day long. They always follow where the money goes.
Yeah.
When Bond was the trend, that's when the movies were the best. And when Bond came... What? Say that again?
No. Could finish. I thought you were done.
Oh, no, sorry, the internet is real spotty tonight. All I was saying is when Bond movies were the trend, when they were the trendsetters, the movies were better. Ever since the Daniel Craig era, and people say, what about the Brosnan era? Look, the Brosnan era was doing shit ahead of the trend. But Daniel Craig movies want to be Jason Bourne movies. Then they want to be Christopher Nolan movies. Sure. Now they want to be... I don't know what they're trying to be. The thing is, they're not trying to be James Bond anymore. And that's the same problem with a lot of the franchise entertainment these days. Star Trek, Star Wars, I guess Doctor Who. I haven't watched any of the new stuff, so I can't speak on it properly. But it lost whatever component was there. It's like when, I don't know, if you're an 80s kid and McDonald's changed up the grease. It was slightly different. The french fries didn't taste the same.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Besides the french fry point, what I mean is that it's like when it's slightly off. Like,
yeah, that takes me back. That was like a traumatic experience for me.
I remember that. It feels different. So I have the solution for Bond.
I didn't mean to laugh.
So I have the solution for Bond. If anyone in Hollywood wants to hire me to do it or just steal my idea and hire your friend, which is how it normally works, whatever. Here's the idea, right? This is how I would write a Bond movie because I'm a huge Bond fan. The next Bond movie with let's say Henry Cavill, right, as our new Bond, is you go back to 1961.
That's what I've said before too.
You got to set these things as period pieces in the Cold War, and you go back and you essentially just do that timeline, and it'll be great because that is how you capture the magic again.
Agreed.
Right. I've said that a million times, and I said not only that, give it to Quentin Tarantino, but
that could be fun.
Now, did you see, Jeff, what I posted on Twitter earlier? Probably not, because I know you're not usually on Twitter.
I am not usually the Twitter guy.
Okay, there's some going down. I'm doing an experiment because, newsflash, everybody, I've never actually watched a Bond movie. I know all the tropes. I know, all the actors for the most part, bits and pieces here and there, seen scenes, of course.
What are you waiting for? Go on.
Let me finish, some of them are really, really good. Like Goldfinger is really good.
Okay, I'll let you finish. Hold on.
Oh, he's doing a thing. He's organizing a thing.
So,
all right.
I noticed the other night, since sadly we lost Sean Connery, I wonder if this had more to do with the movie was supposed to be out this month at one point. But Vudu is running a deal right now on the Bond films in 4K. And I was looking at getting the Sean Connery films. I'm like, I've never seen them. Maybe I'll check them out. But then I noticed they had a really good deal on the 4K complete 24 set. So I brought it up to Andre, and I'm like, what would you guys think if I review each and every one of the Bond movies every week with a group of people? And he's like, I don't care as long as you can get Robert Meyer Burnett involved. So I talked to Robert Meyer Burnett, and he said, abso-fucking-lutely. And so I'm going to try and work a cavalcade of people. Like, of course, Jeff, you were one of the first people that came to mind.
Yes.
And other people like that I'm going to talk to. Now we're going to have to try and spread people out because there's a lot of people who want to get involved in this. But there's 24 films, And 24 weeks is probably roughly what we're going to have to wait before we see the new Bond film if it doesn't get picked up. Well, like I said, I mean, I may try to figure it all out if I can try it. I just don't want to overload it because we want to try and keep it like an hour per movie or less. We want to sit there, and kind of the whole focal point is how I'm going to be reacting to these films, never having seen them before. Is kind of the more basic idea. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to try and work something out with Robert to where we know what time the schedule is going to be, and I'll get a hold of all you guys and we'll work it out.
I'd be delighted to come on for
sure. I'll put you down.
Or any of those. I personally love the classic '60s ones the most, right? But I'd be delighted if you ever want me on one of those. Just I haven't seen a lot of them in a few years, and so I'd love to see them again.
Well, I'm really excited by the response. In fact, I'm a little overwhelmed because now everybody wants to be a part of it.
You know what? If you want to put me on the newer ones, because I mean, I'm going to probably be covering the most recent one. I'll still watch them. Like I want to watch them with Rob anyway. Like as you guys do it, because I know he's going to be on pretty much every single week. So if you just want to put me on the later ones, that's probably fine.
All right, well, we'll work that out behind the scenes. But yeah, like that's the announcement. I didn't mean to like take over the big thing, but like I had to confess to Jeff I'd never seen one, and now I'm going to, and I want you to be a part of this journey with me along with our other friends.
I almost just want to hear your thoughts of watching Dr. No, because it's
oh
my god. Here's the thing, I'm more excited to talk to you about your experience even more so than just talking about the film, because like I'm watching those movies as a kid 20 years ago with different politics. So we're watching them, 20 years removed again.
Right, and that's kind of the experiment is I didn't grow up with these. So I don't have like this tangential attachment. And I mean, look, I feel bad for Sean Connery fans. As far as the human being himself, I thought he was a great actor. I never had a big attachment to him. He was 90 years old. He got to spend almost 20 years retired and enjoy the fruits of his labor. The guy had, to steal a term from Kevin Smith, the guy had a big bucket of win in his life. Not many people get to live to 90 and die in their sleep and get to be James Bond and in Highlander and be Sean fucking Connery. And Indiana Jones's father and all these other things. So again, I don't feel sorry for him. I'm sure the man had a wonderful, wonderful life, and I hope he died very peacefully in his sleep, and he enjoyed a great life in the last few years, especially when he was retired. But I do feel bad for the fans. But at the same time, I've never experienced these films, and they're big pop culture things. I mean, we've been sitting here for the last 20 minutes talking about Bond. I've never even seen the damn things, and I'm still part of the conversation. And that's kind of where I feel. I kind of feel like an outside kid. I've been part of these conversations now for 2 years. Now I really want to see what they're all about. Do they still hold up?
Evolve. What you're going to see, especially, it'll be a shock in many ways, what we're used to with the constant call of this is misogynist and male and women this and that. These were masculine movies and beautiful feminine women, masculine men, feminine women, right? And sexuality was cinched throughout, and you're like, man, this is what Hollywood once did. This was the norm, and this was promoted. It's a very good now.
I'm a girl and I wanted to be James Bond. You get to live in the lap of luxury. You get to wear like the cool suits. You get the cool gadgets. You get to go on awesome missions. And you get, I mean, in my case, it would be sexy men. But I mean, you get
Anna. Yeah. I want to ask, like, okay, like I always say this all the time. Like, I never felt excluded if I saw a man on screen. Did you ever feel excluded? Did you ever think you couldn't be Bond just because you saw a man being Bond?
No, fuck that. I would just be the girl version, and I would get sexy men. Not, women, because I don't roll that way, but I mean, to each their own. But no, it's like, and half the time I like the guy characters better. Because, I mean, I didn't want to be Princess Leia. I wanted to be Luke Skywalker, and I had no problem that he was a dude. If anything, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. I've always gotten along with men. I've never had a problem with men. The ones that are assholes, but I mean, women are assholes too. So
men are sexy.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem I find with a lot of like the modern day Hollywood when they're trying so hard to pander to women. We never felt excluded. Right. I don't know, Jesse, did you feel excluded?
No.
Well, no, and Andre found
Was
a great.
I supposed to?
and Andre,
I guess that's what they feel now if they don't see themselves represented on screen.
I'm boring. I want to see sexy people on screen. Like I want to see Sean Connery.
Exactly.
He's interesting and he's handsome and he's like cool.
Well, no, and that's exactly what Andre pointed out when he did the numbers and he realized more women went to see Rambo Last Blood than went to see Charlie's Angels.
Sure.
Women want to see men being men. You know, they don't want to go see some girly guy doing, you know, some trying to be some action star when it's unbelievable. They want to see Sylvester Stallone. They want to see Clint Eastwood. They want to see James Bond. They want to see the guy out there doing the guy thing, saving the woman or saving the day or whatever it is. You know, sure, it's cool, you know, to have great female characters too. What the fuck do you think Ripley is? What do you think Sarah Connor is?
Laura
You know?
Croft. I mean, I went
Laura
on.
Croft, yeah.
Remember one of the Die Hards came out on Valentine's Day, and it was the one where Jay Courtney is his son. It's not the best.
It's the worst one. Oh,
Yeah, it's the worst one. But I went and I knew, I was like, "Ooh, Die Hard's coming out. It's Valentine's Day. I'm single but dating." And I'm like, I want to go see this. I'm not going with a guy because I want to go by myself because I don't want a guy to ruin this movie by trying to make out with me while I'm watching Die Hard. I want to watch fucking Die Hard. I went and saw Die Hard by myself instead of the chick flick on Valentine's Day.
and it was, and you know what? You probably walked out disappointed because that movie's a dog shit movie.
Oh no, I did or did not have beverages in my alcohol.
I did not have beverages in my alcohol. I swear, Christopher.
cannot tell I have.
Look, it's not a party unless you are drinking by yourself while you go to the movies by yourself.
It was all alcohol.
Okay, to be fair, I was going out after, so I was dressed up nice. I had gotten out of a relationship like.
Oh, now we're finding out that she got dressed up to get drunk by herself to go to the movies by herself.
Okay, here's the story.
And she was on the prowl. Did you hear that shit too?
I had gotten out of a
No, of course.
relationship, and every movie that I had seen with that ex was ruined. So I was in that mood, like I don't want to make memories with guys because it's gonna like tarnish my memories. So I'm like, I'm gonna go have fun. Gonna go see this movie. Gonna have a couple, maybe more than a couple drinks while I'm watching said movie, and then I'm gonna go out to a bar with my friends, and then may or may not go home with someone. But I just remember I thought Jay Courtney was adorable, and I was in a Jay Courtney phase. So I cannot tell you what that movie was about, but I do remember.
Neither can anybody else who saw it, Anna. You're not alone.
Yeah, I remember enjoying it, but that could be because I was drinking.
I think it was Jai Courtney in the drinking.
Yeah.
I really do. I hate to break it to you.
I haven't felt the urge to watch that movie again, so I mean that could tell you something.
I don't think anybody else has either.
Yeah.
I never again. It's a bad memory at this point. The 007 of Plainfield, New Jersey. That was
But no, I mean, that's a great point, though, because look at what nobody disliked the original Charlie's Angels show. It was a big hit. Everybody loved the movies in the 2000s.
Yeah, those were, well, the first one. The second one sucked ass.
Yeah, the second, well, I didn't care for either one of them, but I know they both did well in the box office. And my point is this. You could blame the cast, you can blame this, that, or the other. I think it was mainly the fact that they toted this movie on it was, going to smash the patriarchy. And if you don't go see this, then you're nothing but a sexist pig. The same rhetoric we keep hearing since, 2015, 16. And that's what turned people off. And I'm sure that's what I know. Mecca, I think you said you watched it, didn't you?
Which one?
The Charlie's Angels one.
Yeah, the Charlie's Angels movie. Well, the problem with that one for me was like half the time it wanted to be kind of a fun chick flick, and the other time it wanted to be a Bond movie. And I'm like, could you just do like one or the other? Because I think it would have worked a lot better as a more fun, lighthearted, like a comedy. But it took itself way too seriously, and it was another one that had just super unbelievable, like 98 pounds.
How did you feel about the big twist, though, by making Patrick Stewart the bad guy?
It was so predictable. It was really dumb.
Plot twist.
It's like I think everybody saw it coming, and we're gonna fight the patriarchy.
Well, I just thought it was a cheap way to try and connect it to the other films.
The reason
I'm gonna watch that one.
I didn't watch this one because while each of the actresses is quite individually lovely, they didn't feel to me like
bullshit.
Yeah, they didn't feel.
No, we all know Kristen Stewart. Come the fuck on, Kamran.
I gotta be a professional, but
bullshit.
That trio did not feel to me Charlie's Angels, right? And the Charlie's Angels are always, these bubbly, vivacious, sexy women with a lot of power and oozing that, and even going back to the movies, with Lucy Liu and all of that, they captured that. I was a big fan of Charlie's Angels when I was immigrated from Pakistan in the 70s. I was a little kid. I learned how to speak English from watching shows like Charlie's Angels and Bionic Woman, right? And my first crush, I must have been 5 years old. My first crush was Cheryl Ladd. Right.
Yeah.
In Charlie's Angels. And one of the greatest moments in my career was I was working as a producer on Roswell, New Mexico a couple of years ago. And Cheryl Ladd was submitted for one of the roles, and I got to watch her audition. And I was like, oh my God, this is Cheryl Ladd. And I wish we had cast her. We didn't.
I say you better tell me you're married or you didn't try to bang her, and I'm going to be very upset. We'll leave it at that.
I will just leave it at that. It's one of those moments like, okay, so I came to Hollywood. There's Cheryl Ladd.
I'm just fucking with you.
She's like 65 years old, and I was like, oh my God, it's Cheryl Ladd.
No, in all seriousness, though, you just said things that are very important, because Mecca, what made the original Charlie's Angels exciting and fun?
Tom, before you go on, I just want to say I did see this new Charlie's Angels.
Oh, you did?
Yes. So my friend, he has bad taste in movies, and he offered.
Would this be Justin Proper?
Buy your ticket so I can talk about it with you. And I said, okay. So we went to watch it, and the thing is, the things that were wrong with this movie aren't the things people thought were going to be wrong with this movie. And I will say 100% unironically, Kristen Stewart is the best part of that film.
Sad.
And it's not, though. The thing is, it's not sad. It's actually the where this movie falls flat is that Elizabeth Banks wrote a Charlie's Angels film with this sort of comedy that pushes reality. Like comedy that's not constrained by the limits of reality, where they're willing to build a sort of heightened reality to go for some silly jokes, some bigger caricatures, some, crazier moments. And it was cool and it was well done. But the thing is, it's like, I think Elizabeth Banks really just put on too many hats. Was she did that as the writer, and then she put herself in it as this integral character, and then she made herself the director. And when she became the director of this project, somewhere in this process, she stopped buying into the world she wrote. So you have this sort of zany, offbeat comedy style to the writing, but it's directed in this unnecessarily grounded way. So the reason Kristen Stewart ends up being the best part of this is she's the only one who found and hit the right tone for her character. She's the only one who managed to find the balance of buying into the zaniness of her character, grounding it into this verisimilitude of the world, and selling the jokes in a way that flowed and matched. Whereas everything else had this off-kilter feel of trying to be a comedy that took itself way too seriously, sprinkled in with a couple, though not as many as people thought, moments of cringy wokeness.
Well, and here's the thing is, I remember the original show came out, in the heights of the whole original feminist movement era of the 60s and 70s. And, it was more about, women can kick ass and be sexy at the same time and use that to their advantage. And the movies from the 2000s felt like they were more or less parodizing or doing a satire version of that almost. And then what I keep hearing about this one, and again, I trust your judgment as far as Kristen Stewart goes, but I'll be honest, I've only seen her in one thing that I didn't think she was that bad in, and that was that Runaways movie. And that's basically because she's typecast. She's playing Joan Jett. She's basically playing herself. I mean...
Wait, don't forget, she was in Panic Room, and all she did was lay on the floor and die. that was her best role.
Well, no, she was believable as Joan Jett because she's basically... Yeah.
Ultra?
What was that? I'm sorry.
You guys see American Ultra?
Hey, are you guys going to be going for long? Because I haven't eaten, except I ate noodles, but I need to make myself food. If I leave and come back, are you guys still going to be going?
Yeah, this is because Jesse isn't going to have her.
Yeah, I'm not doing mine. This is going to be an election night hangout.
Okay, I'll be back in 45 minutes.
Are we going to bring your friend situation, or are we maxed out with guests?
What do you mean?
I'm saying if people know of anyone else that's like, hey, are you inviting any more people onto the stream, or is this the stream?
I don't know. I just kind of.
Okay, I need food, so I'll be back.
We'll be here.
Yes.
Before you take off, I just want to say, first of all, pleasure to be on the stream with you. I'm going to be leaving in about 15, 20 minutes because I also have to eat. So if we don't meet when you come back, delight, and I hope I can come on your channel someday. So.
Oh, well, yeah, it was lovely meeting you. I have like been on like a meh live stream kick right now, but I will get you on for I don't know, an undisclosed topic, but it was a pleasure meeting you. If I don't see you, yeah, I just said it was nice meeting you. Sorry, my mind is off. I'm like, I need to
Go sugar, lady.
it was nice meeting you. I'll be back.
Eat some pixie sticks.
Yeah, we got a bunch on top of the fridge, don't we?
Send me some.
Yeah, we still have those up there, don't we?
Well, Tom, next time we get together, for all the kindness, I will pay you in pixie sticks if that's what you're
I
asking.
was kidding. It's no big deal. I'm sure I could go get some if I wanted some bad enough.
So I wanted to address something that was on screen real quick. I don't always have the money for all the streaming services, and when I finally have to make the cut, it was easy to let go of Netflix. So I wanted to ask you guys if you were going to cut a streaming service today, outside of any of the stuff with the bad movie that we don't want to name on here, the Voldemort of films, like outside of even that, like what streaming service is just lesser for you guys?
I guess I'll go first. I mean, honestly, I could lose them all. I don't really watch anything unless I'm forced to. But I guess if I have to go with one that I've gone to more so for movies and stuff, if I had to just cut one, you mean? Or cut all of them but one?
Just one. Cut one.
Oh, just cut one? Probably Netflix.
What about you, since you're getting ready to get up?
I was gonna say, for so long, Netflix felt like the staple. Like Netflix was the streaming service, and the other ones were ones you ducked over to if they didn't have what you were looking for.
Hulu was the lesser.
Exactly. Now, honestly, we use Netflix less than any of the other ones.
Honestly,
actually, I have to change my answer because Cobra Kai is coming on Netflix. I guess I'd lose Hulu. I guess I'd lose Hulu. There's nothing really on Hulu that I can't get elsewhere. Sorry.
Yeah, but Orville.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, Orville.
This is the problem. This is on Disney Plus. I got the Mandalorian right now, so I mean, I don't. CBS All Access, I definitely wouldn't have if it wasn't for Star Trek. That's an easy answer, but
once I'm caught up on Supernatural, I can ditch Netflix.
The thing is, I have my own account and you have your own account, and I don't even watch mine. I just let Dan use it.
Actually, technically, I don't have.
There's nothing on HBO Max that I watch right now, but they have a lot of great classic shit that I hate to like. I mean, I've watched a few things on there though.
Everything else, I'm just on someone else's.
Oh yeah, I'm with you, Tom, about HBO Max. Like, I'm watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? We do South Park. There's a lot of good stuff on there. That's another one we get for free. So
and some really good movies too, like
documentaries as well.
Yeah, some of your best movie.
Well, and like I said, CBS All Access would be like cheating, I think. But I mean, I guess that'd be the only one I could really do without if I really, 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 really had to do without one.
Well,
sorry.
And I've sort of answered them. Look, professionally, I'd love to work for any of them, but I've sort of answered already because I don't have Disney, right? Because I was pretty hurt on Star Wars, right? So I don't feel like I've actually worked for Disney. I was the head writer for the Tron animated series, so didn't necessarily have a great experience there. So I haven't paid for Disney. I'm not sure that I will. But if Disney wants to pay me lots of money to do something, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'll work for you. Y'all can pay me. I'm just not paying you.
Yeah, he's a diversity hire and you fired him. What's wrong with you?
Racist. They're all racist.
You racist people.
No, my problem is I come in as a diversity hire and they go, oh, this guy's really good. Okay, that's not what we wanted. We don't actually want a guy who's actually better than it. Than we wanted him to play the role of the brown dude in the corner. We don't actually be the leader of this thing, right? That's
Speaking of diversity hires, I hadn't really noticed this until I sat down and read through the election stuff, but there was actually a proposition on the ballot in California to make it legal to essentially use diversity as a point in your favor in the hiring process. Like you could justify hiring a less qualified employee on the basis of diversity. That's something that we're voting on today in California. Voted on today in California.
That's affirmative action.
It's beyond that though. Like, because the thing is, affirmative action has the wording that it promotes equality, and has even the technical implementation to balance the scales with the side effect of discrimination, to create those numbers. This kind of cuts out all of that middleman. This was just like, oh, the result of affirmative action is we ended up actually just discriminating against people based on skin color anyway. So let's just stop pretending and say it right out. Let's just put it into writing right here. It's totally fine to do. It's totally fine to be like, we hired you because you're the black guy. We know you're not as qualified, but it looks bad for us because we don't have any black people working here.
And this is why, and as those of you who follow me know, I'm a very deep follower of Malcolm X. This is why Malcolm X was very publicly against early affirmative action programs and diversity quota programs in the 60s, because he said this is a way for people to devalue you. This is a way for them to say you only got this because you fulfill a quota and you're not an equal to them, right? And they don't want you to be an equal. So he was very aggressively against it. And he said, yes, that means you're going to have to fight. And he was talking primarily to the black community. He's like, you're going to have to fight harder because there is discrimination. But everything you take will be yours and no one can ever take it away from you. And that's been my philosophy about this. Whatever I've got, nobody can take it away from me because nobody wanted to give it to me and nobody wanted me to have it.
And that's the thing that modern these progressives, etc., fundamentally misunderstand, is that the people who are fighting against their identity policies and bullshit, we're not saying there's no racism, there's no problem with racial injustice. What we're saying is that, no, this bullshit you're trying to do actually makes the problem worse. Yeah, it's a problem, it's an issue, whatever. It's an uphill battle. It sucks to have to fight it. But all these little policies, all these little doors you think you're opening to try to make the problem go away are actually just fundamentally making the problem worse, making it fester at the source and promoting the same values that caused the racism in the first place.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing as it's the old Jim Crow laws, but they're basically just giving it a new name, polishing it up. And they're feeding it to people like Kool-Aid, and they're drinking it, they're buying it, but they're not even tasting the poison. I mean, us here listening now, a lot of people, and again, we're not people all from the same walks of life or even the same backgrounds, religious backgrounds or political backgrounds, and not to get down that road, but we all agree on certain factors, and that is that this is a dumb idea and it's bad, and it's basically just racism hidden as progressiveness, and it's bullshit. And, I mean, it's just scary how far this could get. And this is what I was warning people about, the fucking Oscar rules and companies taking on these similar rules and roles as far as like, we're going to expand the diversity hires and all this kind of stuff. It's like, are you even seeing what you're doing? It's not going to help anything. It's just going to make everything worse.
And I would suggest, because I've dealt with a lot of these people, there is very, very real racism in their hearts. And I would suggest they kind of know that this is going to lead to further injustice, but they get to virtue signal while actually getting the benefit of keeping the people they consider inferior below them, right? And they are aware of that. And that's a sinister part of it.
Oh, yeah, it's 100% sinister. And it's to the point where, like you just said, they think that people are that fucking gullible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about gullah calves, Tom?
Gullah calves haven't gotten old enough to realize it yet.
So speaking of things that everyone can agree on, did you guys see this tweet from Ben Shapiro today?
Yeah, this is once in a while this guy says something that's pretty funny. Yeah, I mean,
so I remember back when The Last Jedi was fresh in people's minds, the turd was still steaming, and then people in the media started to draw attention to it. I remember the guy from ET, Entertainment Tonight Canada. His name was like Roz Weston or something. He was one of the first people that outwardly called out The Last Jedi. And it's nice to know that even 3 years later, roughly, people still take time out of their day to make fun of it, because it truly is the worst film ever in the Star Wars universe. It's really not that debatable. You go, well, what about The Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, but The Last Jedi is still The Last Jedi. But I wanted to share this tweet that says, no matter who wins tomorrow, let's all remember the most important thing. The Last Jedi is a terrible movie. Can we all agree with that?
Cheers.
I feel like opening a beer for that one.
Right.
Well, and it came out of nowhere, and I saw that, and and I like some things Shapiro says. I've got issues with other things he says, but I thought that was very funny, and it actually was the unifying thing that, because and my friends on Twitter and all that, I got people who are left wing and I got people who are right wing, and we all united over The Last Jedi. I got Biden voters, I got Trump voters, and they're all like, "Yeah, man, this Last Jedi sucks," and that's what binds us all together.
Like the Force.
Yeah, it's like the Force. It permeates and binds us all together. This Last Jedi sucks, man. What? So
It. Excuse me. I just keep talking amongst yourselves for a second. I need water.
All right. Ben Shapiro, though, yeah, this whole, no matter who wins tomorrow, let's all remember the most important thing is The Last Jedi is a terrible movie. I mean, that's why we're all here, isn't it not?
yeah, no,
I
that's
mean,
all you guys.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the only, as bad as the movie was, it made this entire thing happen for a lot of people and this entire group and a lot of friendships and probably lifelong friendships because of it. So yeah, it's sad that we lost one thing, but I kind of understand how you feel, Cameron, at this whole animosity towards Star Wars anymore. It's like I just don't even care. Like, you used to be able to ask me what my favorite movie was, and my go-to answer always was Empire Strikes Back, and now that's not so. It just it's lost a lot of stock with me, and I know I never thought that was something that could happen, but it's really. It's not like I've gotten older and had to put, childhood things away. It's just more so that I've really gotten past this. And I did a video a couple weeks after the movie came out, and I kind of compared this whole thing to a breakup.
Yeah.
The original prequels, we had that thing. The whole thing was a wild ride, and then we split up, thought we'd never see each other again, and then not only did we see each other again, we thought it was going to be better than it ever was before, and it was this, wild night in Reno, and the next thing you know, we're fucking married for the next 6 years, and it turns into hell. And I want a fucking divorce. And I did. I got my divorce from Star Wars between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker was basically our divorce. You know what I mean? That was it. That's the divorce.
Well,
actually, it was Solo, but yeah, let's be clear. But yeah,
Star Trek too. I think it's okay, you cheated on me with fans half my age and intelligence. That's what it really, really feels like with all the with Star Wars, with all the Reylos, and with Star Trek, all the Discovery.
That's a good analogy too. Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It feels like a divorce. I'm like, you know what? You can have them. And now we're just kind of watching you with your little toxic relationship while they berate you for not putting pronouns in your bios, and they, do everything in their power to make everybody in their warpath miserable. So,
and at the same time, I knew
Gina Carano of Mandalorian and Star Wars has actually single-handedly stood up to all of this crap, part of the gender pronoun nonsense and everything else, right? I mean, I have been blown away by her courage, and she never backs down. She just turns it right back on them. I mean, that's a fight.
Yeah.
Right. And the aftermath is much like a divorce. I met a lot of new great friends. Yeah. I'm probably much better off. I don't spend as much money on that crap. In fact, since I've left their ass, I've been able to buy a car.
Right.
The Last Jedi made me a lot of money. That's all I'm gonna say.
So, Tom, one thing I'll say, because you were talking about how you've never seen Bond, and you're going to go hope for this Bond experience, watch these movies. I actually was, because some of the theaters in Los Angeles are not open. Theaters in Orange County are. And so a few weeks ago, I drove down 2 hours to Orange County to see Empire Strikes Back in the theater. And it was an almost empty theater because people aren't going to theaters, right? But I got to see it in the theater, and I saw it with a friend who had never seen Empire Strikes Back, right? Ooh. And it was such a magical experience. Just the movie itself is great. And you're watching it in this big theater and screen, whatever. And to see his reactions as Han Solo goes into the astrofield, he's like, oh my God, what the hell is he doing? That's great. I mean, just watching his reactions. And then wait, Vader's his father? I mean, it's wonderful. It's like, it sent me back. I would have been there 1981 and watched it live.
I wish I got to experience Star Wars like that on the big screen. I caught them all on tape first, but I did get to see the special edition of A New Hope in theaters. But I'm, LA too, and we can't go to a movie theater, else I would have seen Star Wars and all the other shit that would have come out this year. Well, I take that back. If everything wasn't closed, they probably wouldn't have done the Empire Strikes Back release. So, shit.
Well, I think that was planned as a 40th anniversary, but I don't think it would have been as big on everybody's radar. Yeah. But I think what's funny is just, doesn't that have to be like a craw in KK's fucking claw, right? Or whatever you want to call it. Because, fucking A, that movie was #1 for how many weeks this year because of that shit? And it just shows that there is pent up, people will go see a good Star Wars movie. They don't want to see shit Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people will also support The Mandalorian, and it will become, Star Wars for the next.
Oh, and I'm sure that pisses her off too.
Well, that's the nice thing though. Like, look, folks, you can like this show, dislike this show. It doesn't really matter. This is a community where everyone's cool and wants to hang out and have fun. But this show is what I think a lot of the next generation of Star Wars fans, I think this will be their thing. Like, there's a group of kids who grew up, the Clone Wars is their thing. That is their Star Wars. Like, a lot of people will have the Mandalorian be their Star Wars. And I think, luckily for us and the Fandom Menace and those who don't really like the Star Wars Disney sequels trilogy, history will remember the other concurrent Star Wars franchise, Mandalorian. So hopefully we just kind of forget about Rose Tico and all those people and Rey and Finn, and we don't have to talk about flipping over TIE fighters and all this other dumb crap and puzzle pieces. What is this? Like, J.J. Abrams is the worst choice in the world.
I think I can predict this right now, Jeff. You're not going to have the kind of fans you did for the prequel trilogy for the sequel trilogy.
No.
You're just not going to. Like, I too had to come to terms with, these Star Wars movies are some kids' Star Wars movies. I may not like them, but I mean, I don't think they're bad movies. I just don't like them compared to the other Star Wars movies. Let's be clear before all the prequel lovers come after me like fucking piranhas out there in the chat. But no, I could have had to come to terms with the fact that there were kids who saw these movies and that was their Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But I don't see that for this next generation and group of films. I don't. Mm-mm. I don't see anybody holding Rose Tico up in any way, or, I mean, even Jar Jar Binks is kind of quaint now. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Look, it took 20 years, but Jar Jar Binks can get a figure before a lot of the Disney sequel era figures are going to get one. I mean, seriously, Rose Tico didn't get one from the new Rise of Skywalker. Neither did Finn, neither did Poe Dameron, I don't think.
Yeah.
They re-released his X-Wing, or they made a new scaled X-Wing and re-released the fighter pilot or something. But, like, there are certain staples and hallmarks of Star Wars that Disney just... I don't even think they intentionally got rid of those hallmarks. I think they just dropped the ball, and then society just didn't care about them. But hopefully Mandalorian for them, not for us, hopefully they can just do it right. Now, to get back to the episode, I thought there were some really awesome moments. I thought there were some okay moments, but overall, I enjoyed the show. Like, to see a gaffy stick and see the other side used for something, like little bits like that. That's Star Wars world building done right. That's treating the world as this lived-in thing that George Lucas created with Ralph McQuarrie and so many other creatives. This version of Star Wars doesn't feel like it connects with the Disney stuff, the newer stuff, the sequel era stuff. Mm-hmm. It feels like it does feel like an extension of where you would see the post Return to the Jedi world. There are things that are said in this show that make you think, that take you back to the original trilogy, that build out and make the original Star Wars feel bigger, but it does it right, in my opinion. I'm not watching this show going, it's okay, but it ruins this, and that. Or I don't find myself getting pissed off because it, pisses on the lore like other stuff does.
Right. And I mean, look, I think you've said it before. I know I've said it, and a few of us have. This is where Disney should have started in the first place. They should have looked at the grand scheme and said, look, we need to buy ourselves some time. Let's throw together a quick show that everybody's going to dig and, put it around a bounty hunter, or better yet, let's make it a Mandalorian. Yeah, okay, great. Get Jon Favreau in here, have him work on this show. And in the meantime, we know we have everybody signed up because George made sure all this shit was put into place before he sold it. That was part of his deal with getting the $4.05 billion for it, because otherwise they weren't going to give him that much. He had everybody lined up, everybody signed up. You spend another year or two working out a trilogy, and then you shoot the trilogy back to back to back. You don't fucking half horse it like they did with the way they did. And I think part of the way they did it is what killed Carrie Fisher, sadly. Yeah, because they put her through so much shit. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, I think the pressure really got me. Look, one of my biggest regrets is Carrie Fisher had a book that she had written. She'd written a few books. It was one of her autobiographies, and she was doing a book tour, and local bookstore she was coming, and I missed it, and then she passed away 3 days later. Right.
Now, granted, she had a life of dependency issues and all that kind of stuff. And weight problem. I'm not going to say that didn't add to the issue, but I truly think her new schedule, her forced weight loss, having these 3 movies shot the way they were, plus all the other shit she was doing in the meantime, truly didn't help.
And my understanding is, we look, you even see it in some of the back to, behind the scenes stuff on Last Jedi. She didn't get along with Rian Johnson. I mean, she was a woman that spoke her mind. She calls him an asshole pretty straightforwardly, right? And so I'm sure, when you're having, just like for Mark, maybe less so for Han Solo, Mark is Luke and she was Leia, and to have the characters being done in a way that I'm sure she found offensive, probably added to a deep sense of what the hell am I doing with my life? That's not a good place to be in psychologically when you're under other stresses as well.
Right. And I still blame Ryan and KK for not fixing that fucking movie, bringing us back to this tweet here. They had a fucking year. Mm-hmm. They could have fixed the movie. They could have gone with what Trevorrow wanted to. It's more than obvious now what made Trevorrow leave.
Well, and I've read his Duel of the Fates script.
I have it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I personally love it. I mean, am shocked by it because it just builds on The Last Jedi and doesn't.
All you have to do to use that script is flip flop Leia and Luke. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what Trevorrow said. He went and he said, "Look, I know it's sad we lost Carrie, but you're going to have to find a way to take her out of this movie. And by doing that, you're just going to have to cut her out of the rest of The Last Jedi." And I'm sure Ryan and KK balked at that, but it's like, look at the movie. She's not even in most of it.
Yeah. And you could have easily edited. He had a year to edit after her passing.
That's what I'm saying. You just had her die in that scene and instead of having the Mary Poppins scene.
Yeah, but
that should have been her death scene. And
they
that's it.
were obsessed with transforming this franchise on ideological reasons, and they wouldn't stop. So, but that's a conversation I've done many times. My friends, I apologize to you. I do actually have to leave now, but thank you all for welcoming me here and for allowing me to join in and forgive me all the times that I interrupted you because I can't see any of your faces. I'm not seeing body language as to when you're speaking, and I'm not always hearing it. So I apologize for that.
No, that's no problem, man. It happens. We overlap sometimes, dude. But thank you so much for being here, Cameron. We love your insights, and we'll definitely have you back again. And I believe we have you coming up on Midnight's Edge in the morning too, real soon. Here, let me look.
Yeah, it's gonna be in a couple of weeks, right? In a few weeks. So, all right, guys.
Specific day, but yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. God bless.
Take care.
The world will be okay tomorrow, whatever happens.
I hope so. Take care, man. All right.
Oh. So, Mandalorian though. The twist, the plot twist at the end. Did you like it, Tom?
I don't have a Boba fetish. I don't really care. He's dead. They better come up with a good fucking explanation, and I don't want to hear about it. It was in a comic book, or in a video game, or in a movie, or in a book I didn't read. Because if it's not in a movie, I don't give a shit. You know, or at least in live action like this. I mean, this feels movie-esque. You know what I mean? To where I don't have time to go doing homework. And I'm sure there's some great story out there about how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. But I need to see it.
This is one of those times where I don't want to see it. I
at least want an explanation.
I think we did get an explanation, though, in this episode. Because during this episode, I suspected that he was one of the Sand People the entire time. I said to Jesse, I bet that's Boba Fett. One of them, because I think it was the one that went to the cave that did the motion that got away, not the one that went to the cave and got eaten, obviously. But I thought, from the beginning, when not from the beginning, but he was the second guy. I was like, that's probably Boba Fett, because the shit that they were talking about, the armor and all this stuff, it was laid out. And so, the story of how you climb out and the crate dragon and the eating of the Rancor and all, not Rancor, the Sarlacc pit and stuff. I thought that did tell it. It's kind of like in the book, The Disaster Artist. Everyone's like, how did Tommy Wiseau get to America? What's his origin? Greg Sestero tells a very thinly veiled allegory of some guy. And it's basically Tommy Wiseau one-to-one. So I think that story that was told was how Boba Fett escaped. I just don't think it was ever...
Maybe I'll have to see it again to kind of get your context. I mean, I kind of remember the part you're talking about, but I really had a hard time getting into this, and I was looking forward to it. Is what bummed me out. Maybe I was overly hyped about it. I don't know.
wasn't that excited. I actually said to Jesse, I was like, oh, wait, Mandalorian's on Friday. Shit. I was way invested in The Boys. I loved that show. I had a fun time with the season. You guys can go back and check out the videos I've made about how to do girl power right. Like, I'm not one of those people that needs a girl power scene, but if I'm going to watch it, I don't want it to suck. So if I have to watch one, I want to watch a good one from The Boys, not a bad one from the Avengers. But roundabout way, getting back to what I was trying to say with the stuff, is this was one of those situations where I wasn't that hyped, but I wasn't disappointed at all. I went in, it started, they gave me a little recap. I was like, all right, cool, I'm in. The music started playing, I got the feeling back, and, you know, there are a lot of positives for this show. This isn't something where I feel the need to
absolutely,
spend much time talking about how great Disney Star Wars is opposed to how bad it was, because I'm still in that bad camp. But I mean, the show looks nice. The action's good. If people were to say the show sucked on a technical level, I would have trouble accepting.
Right. It's not like we're sitting here going, oh, the politics were this, that, and the other, and or some of the things like we normally, Mecca and I normally complain about when it comes to Star Trek, and even Anna now, but she doesn't watch Discovery. But is she back, or has she just always been there? And
she's still muted.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. I just didn't want to, ask her something. She's not there. But no, like, that's the thing is, like, it's a little bit different in a sense. Like, the things that we find wrong or we debate about this show are at least story-oriented, character-oriented. What the fuck are the fobs about? What can Baby Yoda do? Why is he possible? Why can he do this and why can he do that? And da-da-da-da-da. Those kind of things are at least fan-fun shit to talk about. That's the kind of stuff we always used to nerd out about. How many times have we gotten into those arguments? Well, who would win between Darth Vader and Yoda? Well, Yoda would kick Darth Vader's ass. Oh, fuck no. And then we get in those drag out fucking fights about that kind of shit. But at least it was fun. This bullshit where we're fighting with fans and everything over fucking personal politics is getting to be bullshit.
It's almost like even us, on the channel, the WCBS channel, like, made a concerted effort to make shit fun, because that's the thing. At first, whoever this faceless entity was that was ruining our pop culture, we were calling them out on their shit. They couldn't handle it. So now it's been, we're played against each other. And in the audience, it's like, well, divisive decisions were made to do that. And it kind of sucks, because that's what I want to bring back, or that's what I want The Mandalorian to bring back, is just like that fun level of like geeking out for Star Wars. There's a great channel, Bat in the Sun. They do those fights, they're like Wolverine versus Darth Vader, or Batman versus
right.
Some shit. Like, I do think that crossovers are the next big thing, and Star Wars, I don't know if I'd ever technically it'd be crossovers in the greater scheme of things, but like Star Wars has always felt like it's one contained thing, to where, like, to have, let's say, the real Boba Fett team up with, I don't know, Commander Cody for some dumb mission doesn't seem like a real crossover. Anything in the Star Wars universe just feels like expanding the universe. To me, in like the greater scale, the greater scheme of things, a real movie crossover has got to be like a DC and a
Alien
Marvel
versus Predator, or something like that,
or Batman meets Spider-Man,
Freddy versus Jason,
yes, something like that, because it's like, Batman is meeting Batman and Superman are on screen for the same time, the first time together ever. It's like, that's cool, but you can go back to 95 when they're crossing the universes with Val Kilmer's Batman talking about the circus.
I don't think you're wrong. I think maybe in about 20 years we'll see that when this round of superheroes is kind of died out or whatever. I mean, because superhero movies, to me, I feel like the Western, I don't think they're ever going to go away. They're just going to keep reinventing themselves, because the Western really never died until about 1970s, late 70s in there, and it's been around since the beginning of film. So I have a feeling like comic book movies got a lot of years left in them.
Well, I'm happy with that, because earlier when Kamran was here,
but I think you're right. Like, that's going to be the next thing, is going to be getting Hulk versus some Superman or whatever, like you were saying. Yeah.
Well, I want to see that, but I was happy. One thing I wanted to say to Kamran was, with the movies taking this back seat eventually, because, well, the virus and everything with the marketing, movies are too expensive, they have to pull it back. That kind of opens the door again for the comic book to tell the bigger than life story. So I think we're going to get we might have a very interesting pop culture landscape out of necessity. And it will also be very interesting to live in a world where the entertainment regresses. Now, you can have a certain point of view about what regression is. You could say, well, entertainment's regressed already, Jeff. And yeah, from a certain point of view, I would agree with you. And I think you're correct. But what I mean is just the scale, the scope of things. It's going to have to be drawn back. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, Spider-Man was cool and awesome. That was the big movie of the year, but that had nothing on the visual spectacle that was something like an Infinity War, 16 years later. Now we live in a world where it's possible that 16 years from now, a superhero movie is going to be more in line with something like The Crow or the Shadow, or just like it doesn't even have to be an independent comic, just a very low budget thing.
Do you think that's where it's going to go? I
think that's where it's going to go. And it's going to be bizarre for me because even you, Tom, we've all grown up watching shit get bigger, 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 bigger.
Well, maybe that's a good segue into the story I sent you earlier tonight.
Which one was that, sir?
The Ninja Turtles one.
Yes. Would you like to start? I'll pull up a visual.
We can, because I don't know. I mean, obviously, let's throw this out there. This is just the director saying things he would like to do. There may be some movement on it, but it doesn't sound like it's like happening or anything, so I don't want to get anybody's hopes up ahead of time. But the original director of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has talked about a sequel script that him and I believe one of the original writers has worked on. Let me get this up here. Here we go. And share. So they basically, though, there had been talks, according to Steve Barron and Brian Henson had talks already with Bobby Herbeck, the original writer. Okay, yeah, the original writer said this. Okay, so there has been talks now between the three of them about possibly resurrecting and doing a reboot of the original Ninja Turtles movie. Now, it wouldn't be a sequel. What it sounds to me like is they're going to basically do a new movie in the vein of the 1990 film, which I'm not totally opposed to. Because why would you want to go back to that at this point? It's way beyond. You got to start fresh. You got to start new. But I think they're on the right path. You know what I mean? And it's going to what you're just saying, Jeff. It's going back to the way things kind of were. Because Ninja Turtles was the ultimate fucking independent film until, what was it? Blair Witch Project, I think. It was the highest grossing independent film of all time.
Oh,
It beat Halloween in 1990, I think, at that point. And then it got beat by Blair Witch, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just, it makes sense to, going back to what we were saying before, you got to scale these things back. And it goes back to my argument with Jaws. It's like, the only reason we talk about Steven Spielberg today is because that fucking shark didn't work.
Yeah.
But his cast did, and his story did. And if that shark would have worked, Steven Spielberg would just be some B director probably who made a bunch of Roger Corman movies after that. Because Jaws would have just been a big B movie. It would have never been this, movie we consider grand cinema and it only is because of those performances and the tight story and the simplicity of the idea. Same thing goes for something like Back to the Future. Even that's something that's, as much as you think about it, it's a sci-fi adventure with all these effects, it doesn't really have that many special effects.
Nope, just a few shots.
Yep.
Him disappearing, the car transferring through time, and hell, there's a handful of shots where you don't even see the car go through time. You just see the actors get lit.
Exactly. So outside of the period parts, you could really make a movie even like Back to the Future for something on the cheap. And I think that's where we're headed, yeah.
It sucks I think Bond will benefit. Like I said, we were talking about Bond a moment ago. I think Bond will benefit from smaller budgets because what the producers of Bond do today, I think, doesn't show up on screen. I think there's a lot of the luxurious branding that they want to continue with the Bond brand is still there, and that's cool. But I think they don't really build something bigger for that. And I think Marvel, like we've said countless times, is in a great ending point logically. Maybe this year's pushback helped the MCU in the grand scheme of things, because I can't imagine Black Widow having all the hype and pomp and circumstance that other Marvel films have had historically, because they're over essentially. And then on the DC front, they're already doing smaller stuff like Suicide Squad. That's a smaller budgeted film, I believe. So, maybe smaller isn't the worst thing in the world, but be prepared for a change. And sometimes change is good. So,
but yeah, I mean, just in retrospect, just looking at this, they made the original Ninja Turtle movie, if I remember right, for $10 or $12 million. So you upgrade that budget to now, that's still only like $30 million.
Dude, it's been a minute. I know we're having a watch party on the channel, and you and Quarter Black Garrett want to be a part of that. So
Absolutely.
that'll be the next time I watch it, and I probably haven't seen it in 10 years. So the thing is, too, TMNT is always that weird property. I'm the target age, the target demographic. Boy, growing up in the 90s, all this stuff. I liked the show, but I just don't have that same connection like a lot of people do.
Well, I think that the generation just before yours, mine, was the one that it really captured. And the thing with the Ninja Turtles is they kind of played it out like they didn't think it was going to last, but it just kept going and going and going and going. And up until this last year was the first time I've never seen Ninja Turtle toys on shelves in my entire life since the Ninja Turtles existed.
Did you see that picture that was floating around Twitter from Retro Blasting today about the toy shelves, the Hasbro shelf and the Mattel shelf, and how the Hasbro shelf is just...
I'm surprised I missed it if I didn't, actually.
Oh, with all the He-Man figures? Yeah.
Yeah, but Mattel... Dude, I don't know what their sales are, but Mattel is like secretly the hero of the action figure game right now.
Okay, now I see it.
People go, Jeff, Marvel Legends are the best from Hasbro. Yeah, but the WWE line is just, in terms of quality, so much better. Anyway, that's a semantic, or that's an argument for another day. But TMNT, we'll give you guys the information on that one. Probably think we can work something out this month. It's still early in the month, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to do my retrospective on it, but like the end of the year is creeping up on me. I've almost thought about, and I brought this up, and this is weird because it's only like the second time or third time I've really brought this up, and it's becoming more real. I'm looking at possibly crowdfunding an actual documentary on the making of the first film.
Oh, nice.
For the what would be the 35th anniversary. So that would give me like 5 years to work on it at most.
All I can do is think of that fucking theme song from the movie. It's a good theme song, though. Grimjoy, thank you for your super chat, folks. I will be reading all these tonight, but he asked the topical one. He says, what do you guys think about an R-rated TMNT?
Oh, all on board. All on board.
Mecca, Anna, I don't know if you're still eating. What do you ladies think about an R-rated Ninja Turtles flick? I know a couple years ago they did that Power/Rangers thing, and it was an R-rated Power Rangers. I didn't like that one, but Ninja Turtles has always been bloody, or started that way, at least in the book, so...
I don't think I was like the target demographic for them, but
Yeah, you were. I think you were a little out of that. But no, like there has been rumblings of a possible Netflix series in the
that would be
original
interesting.
comics. Yeah, which the original film does. It's kind of a perfect meld between what the comics were and the cartoon, without being too kiddie and too dark at the same time. It's like just the right amount of each. You know what I mean? It just managed to capture just enough of the hard edge of the comics without going too over the edge. But it still doesn't pull back too many punches. I mean, people get hurt and Shredder's supposed to die and whatnot like that. But, I mean, it's still, I think it captured that perfect balance.
Do you think we live in a world where R-rated properties... Because remember back in the day, you had your RoboCop, but then you had your RoboCop the animated series. But then there was this weird kick in the 90s where you couldn't make merchandise based off of R-rated properties. But now, because of the way the collector's market has shifted, even before Toys R Us closed, you would see the NECA figures and earlier on the McFarlane figures of, some grotesque, some more realistic. Either way, you got kids acclimated to these older properties. So do you think that we're at a point now where you can do not R-rated cartoons, but like cartoons based in like more merchandise off these R-rated things, and then make R-rated versions of things that like Marvel stuff? You could have a Punisher movie be R-rated, but not, still keep it in continuity type of situation.
Yeah, I have no problems with that to a point. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't. And again, like I said, I'm all for it. And I'm not even opposed to having several different ones going on at the same time. Because like even that 2012 series, I didn't have an issue with. It was just like, okay, it's not for me, it's for kids. But as long as they don't mess with the lore too much, I'm fine. It was that Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fucking cartoon that I had a problem with. So I mean, and if you're going to give me an adult version at the same time as the kids, I'm cool with that too, or whatever you want to do to make this world work. I mean, I think a lot of this could also depend on how, the Snyder cut goes and, a few things like that, because that's supposed to be more R-rated and stuff like that. So,
What is the Snyder Cut though anymore? And what
It's a 4-part miniseries right now.
I'm just saying, like, now we're hearing what was the news? The latest news. Obviously, there's more.
Playing the trailer or something was the latest thing that I heard.
Oh, I did hear about that, but there was one other one. It was like last week or 2 weeks ago. They made some kind of announcement like there's more reshoots or there's more something, and I took a screenshot of it.
That's stuff we've said a long time ago. That's what I was trying to get across to people for the last 2 years, Mecca. They only had 75% of the movie shot when they fired Zack Snyder. I've said that since the fucking start, but nobody's listened to me. And when I said that, that's what I've been trying to say, is they're going to have to shoot another 25% of this to finish the story off. But that doesn't even matter anymore because they're giving him enough money to embellish what he had there already. So they're looking at this being a big deal, that they're already getting buzz about doing the next sequel already with him as a miniseries. And then that Batman miniseries also being an offshoot of that. And like the way we've been hearing it is more so the Snyderverse is going to be like the HBO Max kind of thing, and then the offshoot stories on the big screen are going to be either unrelated completely, or like this Flashpoint thing is going to reset everything to like a multiverse kind of thing anyway. So, and that's getting more and more likely because Michael Keaton did basically confirm that yes, he was in talks, but nothing was solidified yet, which means basically it's almost done. It's practically a done deal. If he's talking about it like that, then
God, it's going to be so cool to see him as Batman again.
I'm Batman, which you can get the shirt right now at our Minutes Edge store.
Yeah, Jared Leto's coming back as the Joker. That's the news.
Yep, that was the other thing. That was the other thing because he's going to be in the Snyder Cut, which that's one of the things that hopefully, like Andre said in his editorial, I'm fingers crossed they make him like Jason Todd or something like that because they set up the whole thing in BVS with Robin's costume. And I just never could accept him as a Joker. But if you told me, oh, yeah, he's a form of the Joker that was created, in the wake of that whole event, then I can buy that. And there's another Joker out there.
Here's the thing, though. These are all great ideas, but you only get one chance to tell these stories, and they've bungled it. Like,
but I'll tell you what now, since they can't have, like, Willem Dafoe, what would you do if they said, okay, we got there's another Joker out there, an older Joker, and it's Mark Hamill?
So wait, you would be Mark Hamill, Jared Leto, and Joaquin Phoenix?
Joaquin Phoenix ain't in this universe, though.
Well, no, I'm not talking about in universe. I'm just talking about on the...
Well, yeah, but there ain't nothing wrong with that as long as Joker sells, man. They got, they made it work already with how many Batman. They had Batman on TV, Batman in the movies, all at the same time.
But the thing is, every Batman, like, timeline movie-wise, has had one Joker. I mean, now we're at 3 Jokers. And now we're going to be at least at 2 Jokers. That's going to be... Well,
actually, the other choice coming up, or the actual name coming out, is Johnny Depp. But anyway, go ahead. Finish.
What, for the Joker?
Yeah, that's the name that keeps going around.
It's such a weird... Well, that'd be weird. Him at DC as well as Amber Heard?
That's the one thing that's where it's like everybody's like, I don't know about that. But then again, you never know. They can make it work.
Oh, they'll probably. If it's a thing, they'll make it work. But I don't know what this is supposed to be anymore. And I'm not mad. I'm not here to rip on Snyder or whatever, but originally it was one thing, it's become something else, and now there's talks of sequels. Like, do you not want a universe? That's all I can say. Like, do you not want a universe and continuity? Is universal continuity everything? No, but you have 4 different timelines going on at once. It's a jumble.
And I know it's going to get confusing for people. The cream of the crop is going to rise to the top. And I think what solidified a lot of this was A, the Joker made $1 billion. And then B, there was enough of a push online for the Snyder Cut. Now, will those Snyder fans turn out, and will the movie be what they hope for? Because that's the thing a lot of Snyder fans try to get you to forget, is that not a lot of the normies didn't like BVS. They didn't care for Man of Steel. And they fucking hated Justice League just as much as you did, if not worse. So, the point is you got a lot of, hardcore fans to get back on board and then convince and get to understand what the fuck is going on here. And I do get where you're coming from, Jeff. It is going to be a bit of a mess. And a lot of it also is because AT&T is pushing the Snyder side of things.
Oh, gotta love the big corporations getting behind our entertainment. Well, I mean, it's been like that for decades. But
Darth
still.
Chop, I would love to see Willem Dafoe as the Joker. That's what I've been saying since the fucking Suicide Squad came out. But he's already what's his face in Aquaman. So
Oh yeah, his aide or whatever.
yeah, because otherwise that'd be my first choice for the Joker, hands down.
Did he die in Aquaman, or did he make it out of that battle?
I can't remember, but if he died, then yeah, that'd be a cool idea to. Because especially if you keep those universes a bit more separate now. Because that's the other thing I think that goes along with that other story that I don't know if you saw from DC, where they're going to try to, there's not going to be any continuity now between the main comics or whatever.
Wait, what?
Yeah, let me grab this story.
Am I about to go off?
All right, let me see if I can find this here. You're going to have to give me a moment.
Yeah, no rush. Sorry.
Screen
so,
rant. There we go.
Oh God, they are reliably stupid. If that's the best way to say it.
The DC Universe may move away from one shared continuity. Reports suggest that DC Comics might be making a major change in continuity and put less emphasis on continuity between stories. DC Comics may be changing how they're handling continuity going forward. A report from Bleeding Cool suggests that following the upcoming Future State event, DC could be moving towards an omniverse-style universe as opposed to the current multiverse. The move would make the continuity less important and allow for more creative freedom in storytelling. And that's probably what I think we're going to see with the movies kind of across the board. Although you will have the continuity of the Snyder universe, you're going to see kind of all these just little offshoots and alternate Joker reality kind of movies.
Well, I think what's happened here across the board is shows like The Big Bang Theory has convinced the internet that everybody knows what this shit means. And I don't think they do. Your flyover states, or, America is like they like to call the rest of it, like flat out, like there's a lot of shit there that as a fan who's been reading comics 90% of my life, I really learned how to read from comic books. I'm invested. That's, basic everyday vernacular for me, but I think you're getting closer and closer to just becoming a 90s comic bubble where it will burst to some degree if you make these things too confusing. Because like X-Men comic books have been inaccessible for decades because there's no great starting point, and they keep trying to create these artificial starting points, and then they ruin the continuity even further. This DC thing, I'm not like mad, but I wish that these American publishers, if they would take a step back and think about what places in the world have a successful comic book industry, like Japan. What are they doing differently? And yeah, I get it that removing the continuity restraints seems like it opens you up for more creative freedom, but it's lazy because it allows you to tell the same story. This is the same shit the EU and Star Wars does, where they tell you, oh, we're gonna, the EU doesn't matter, we're gonna wipe it away, it's now Legends. But then they fucking pick from it all the time because they don't want to tell new stories. So this is all just here. Look at pop culture gods, people that own these rights. There are people that you could pay the same amount of money that actually give a shit about the jobs they have. They're not looking for the next step. Why don't you populate all of your entertainment industry with people that want to be there? Nobody wants to hang out with a wet blanket at a party. You want to hang out with the people that want to be there, that want to have fun, that want to party. So get people in these positions of creativity that want to write comics. Don't get Joe Blow that wants to go write the next great movie script or go write for The Apprentice or whatever TV show, reality shows are out there. Is that even on anymore? I don't care. Either way, like, get people that want to do comics, that want to work and make comic book movies and tell these stories. Don't get trendy hipster people on Twitter to work at your place that don't know your fucking characters. Get people, look, just because they don't have sexy curb appeal on social media doesn't mean it's not what's best for business. Okay, there's a million nerdy dudes out there that could do a better job than half the people at Marvel right now. So, like, maybe you take that into account instead of trying to always come up with a short-term answer. Because too, one of the fun things about being a nerd is going back and talking about great stories. So there's a listener, his name's like Canadian Spider-Man. He pops up all the time. The fact that I could talk to him about how the Hobgoblin's origin took place or something like that, it's fun. If you wipe that shit out, that takes away the fun of the story. It makes your one story important and then everything else is irrelevant. So
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that, man. And I mean, to me, like I said, going back to the whole lazy thing, it takes out the whole, like, look, if you're working on these things, I was bitching about homework earlier, that's because that's not my fucking job. That's your job as a writer. That's your job as a presenter of the story to tell me what the fuck is going on. I don't care if you got it from a book. I don't care if you got it from an encyclopedia. I don't care where you got it from, as long as it makes sense and it's in continuity in some way and whatnot. And that's the big question, and that's the big point. There's continuity. And if you're going to have this big shared universe, which is the cool thing that was always about Marvel, and then DC kind of followed suit and shit, you had shit that happened in other comics that affected the storylines of other comics. And yeah, it was kind of a big ordeal to kind of keep track of these things. But then again, it wasn't, because Stan Lee and some of the other guys knew exactly how to streamline some of the shit and make sure that as long as you had somebody who's kind of paying attention to certain things across the board, you could still have freedom to tell whatever stories you want. You just had to kind of take into effect the canon, which to me is, I don't understand how you can even write a story without the Bible for your story, for your characters and your universe. I mean, and I'm not talking about the biblical, in the biblical sense of like Christianity or anything. I'm talking about in your story Bible or your show Bible or your movie Bible or whatever it is you're working on. And these are books that have all your characters in it, all the rules of your world, all your worlds, all the things you need to know about everything that's in one of these shows. And these are put together, but yet they don't want to do the homework. It's like you even have cheat sheets and you still don't want to do the homework. I don't understand this. And when it comes to comics, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and like I keep harping on, though, there are so many people that want these jobs that will do it better. Why not look around? Or why not? I don't know. I think Marvel's doing something smart right now, just in one aspect. They're hiring back some of their older art. And I don't mean, well, fuck it, older artists. Yeah, it's an older dude. He used to draw Spider-Man in the 80s and 90s. They brought him back to do variant covers. Like, outside of that, they're doing very little. Like, why not just hire the generations of past guys that still work in the field? Like, we had Chuck Dixon on. I mean, fuck. Hire Chuck. There's tons of people out there that can tell great stories.
Well, and that goes to what we've heard, from people at Star Trek and other places, is that they don't want to deal with fans. And that's because I think that goes to show, and we know with proof now, that the agendas seem to come first with some of these people. And that just goes to show how deep this toxicity has poisoned the well. It's like some of this other shit doesn't matter. And we've seen it straight out of DC and Marvel, especially on the comic side of things, where they have no issues pushing their fucking agendas. Yeah,
dude, this year has shown how out of touch both Marvel and DC truly are. I literally cannot think of an answer why they would do this. It doesn't make good business sense. But hey. I mean, I guess I just want a world where comic books are fun to read and people like them and they're interesting. There are some good ones out there still, but the big two. And I can understand, it's like, if all comics were great and we all bitched about Miss Marvel or something, then you could be like, well, you guys are just picking on somebody. Or we only picked on Captain Marvel or only picked on Miles Morales Spider-Man. But it's like, Thor sucks. Batman's not that great. Like, all of them across the board. I know Batman's at DC.
Well, there's that famous cartoon rant, or well, it was animated now, but I mean the original rant that was not animated, but with Cecil and EBS, where they talk about the downfall of why these things don't work anymore. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's just true. It's the same thing across the board. You don't pay attention to what made these things work in the first place, and you try to interject some new agenda, and you come in and just want to change what these characters are fundamentally at their core, then they're no longer those characters. It's like me going, I want to tell you a Robin Hood story, but I'm going to make it about this black chick who, instead of being a robber, because, we don't want to, enforce that stereotype, she actually is, she's a magician, and she's this, and she goes and she casts these spells on people, and, after a while it starts sounding nothing like Robin Hood, right?
Yeah.
That's my point, and that's what we're getting to. It's like you went and took something, and Bond is another great example of, even though they still have a white guy playing him in Daniel Craig, that's what I keep hearing from you guys about these last few Bond movies is, there's this and there's that, the other, and it sounds more and more politics are getting involved, and they're trying to make Bond everything he isn't. You know, to the point where he's even been told to stay in his lane. Know your role. You're a misogynistic dinosaur. I mean, these are not things that the hero should be hearing. I mean, and I'm not saying it's white fragility at all. That's not what it is. As much as they want to project that onto it. What it is like, no, you're taking fucking Americana. You're taking our mythos. You're taking our classic characters, and you're literally taking a shit on them in some cases. I mean, I guess I use the term literally very loosely there, pun intended. But it's just gotten to this point where it's like, how can you even say you're making a Superman story, but you can't say he fights for truth, justice, in the American way? I mean, what is wrong with that?
I don't
Why
get
is that a bad thing?
You're right, and you know what? It's tiresome to even try to wonder why these people do it. Screw it.
When we live in a society that's us versus them, you know, where everything that one side is for, we have to be anti. If one side is fervently pro-America, that by default means the other side is going to exhibit anti-America behaviors and attitudes.
I almost miss the days of the satanic panic.
Yeah.
And when
Well, that's
moms
what it
just
feels
thought comic
like.
books were fucking gonna rot your brain.
Well, that's what it feels like. Everybody treats, anything. Oh, it's got a man in it. It's evil, basically. They treat it like a religion almost.
Men are delicious.
They are.
God bless America.
God bless men.
You're welcome.
But I love that when, it's just one of those things where you look at something like Superman, and I bring it up every time. It's like, Richard Donner knew what to do with him. Don't do anything with him. You leave him the fuck alone.
Yep.
You don't change Superman. You don't make fun of him. You don't change who he is. Sure, the world can change around him, but Superman is going to stay the same no matter what, because he's Americana, he's apple pie, he's baseball, he's an American establishment. He's our mythical god.
And I
Love
think,
it or hate it, that's what he is. And if you change that, then he's not those things anymore.
I think you should do the same with 007 as well. The world can change around him, but he needs to be traditional, like old school. Not you don't make him like stodgy, but you also don't make him
well.
the trend.
And I said that out of context. I get that, but my point is you can say, yeah, you're a misogynistic dinosaur and your time has passed, but then you got to follow that shit up with, well, but that's exactly what we need right now.
It is exactly what they need. And it's funny. It's 25 years ago that they're having that conversation, and they handled it well. Now they're trying to have that conversation again. It's about young Ripple, like he says. They're always trying to fight, new dragons. New dragons, excuse me. That's what the Bond franchise is trying to do right now. They're trying to slay new dragons when they've already covered that.
Absolutely. No, and I love that term because it's so true. It's almost like a drug. They're chasing that fucking dragon, man, and they're trying to slay it. But you know what? You can keep going after it. I just don't know. A lot of these things have lived through a lot worse. Don't get me wrong. Because, we constantly get asked, will Star Trek survive? Will Star Wars survive? All these things. But
Well, as long as they quit making bad stuff and driving the fans off, I think it would be fine if they just stop now.
yeah, I don't know if that's possible.
Well, I would say we'll find out, but we won't find out. That shit'll just be gone one day.
It could be. It could very well be. But then again, I want to believe that, characters like Bond and Superman are just as strong as characters like King Arthur and the actual Thor, not the comic book Thor. You know what I mean? To where they're able to live on through infamy in history. And I do believe that, when people like Bill Maher diminish what comic books really are, it's like, no, man, these are our current mythologies, man. You can fucking laugh at them and call them kiddie books all you want, but Superman has been around now for 70, 80 years for a fucking reason. Yeah. Batman's still here for a damn reason, and a good damn reason. For the same damn reasons that, Greek mythology is still a thing. And, it to me, it's all the same thing. It's our piece of that, if you get what I'm saying.
I do get it. That's why I'm also on this whole preserve film train, not because I want to just yell at clouds. It's like, these things are indicators of where we were at that time.
Absolutely, 100% with
you. Let the quality of work speak for itself. Don't try to tear down older, better work in most cases, and don't try to make that stuff disappear to elevate your current whatever you're producing. I mean, on the cosmic scale, stuff that was produced, stuff like The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind will always be timeless classics that have been watched countless times over whatever season of Lovecraft Country is tearing up the charts or whatever bullshit's new on HBO Max. It's like they're trying, not they in quotations, but it's like it's being tried to just discredit the classics by picking them apart by whatever modern metric you want to use.
It all goes into the dangers you have to when you erase history. Part of history is understanding the greater context, how we got to where we are now, where we came from, what happened before, partially to avoid some of the missteps that came before. And that's how, we do that by being able to look back, being able to trace our steps. Think about the first time you ever learned the backstory of like an author or a filmmaker or somebody, and it really added depth and meaning to their work, where you're like, oh man, now that I know how this connects to their personal life, their personal struggle, something that actually happened to them, it really adds a lot of depth and richness to everything behind this. That's what having all of this breadth of cinema is having this library to draw upon to influence what comes after that. Part of the reason I think they're so keen on erasing it, right, and saying this isn't real, this doesn't exist, this is, quote, problematic, is they know they're out of ideas, and they need it, just like we talked about Amber Heard needing a gimmick to keep herself relevant in Hollywood. Well, maybe Hollywood needs a gimmick to keep itself relevant.
You might not be wrong, Jesse.
I've had a decent idea every here and again.
No, you're a lot more on than you're off. Trust me. But I'm not calling you a moron. But no, like this. No, I'm just ribbing you. But this whole fucking comic that I keep bringing up, I swear, is a graphic I've used more than others, but it still rings true, and it gets to my point. I know Clip brought up about like fake fans in the chat, and I know Mecca's brought this up before, and we have too. But that's kind of what this whole thing kind of revolves around. Things like Star Trek, Star Wars, things like that. It was kind of like, it was our geek thing, but it was also a cool thing that we let other people enjoy. It was like, yeah, you can come and enjoy this thing. It's cool. See? This is why we like it. And that was the cool gate, into it. There was no gatekeeping. It was more so like, okay, we're more than happy to embrace new fans, but we don't want somebody coming in here to tell us what's wrong with it, and not only that, why we shouldn't like it or why we're problematic for liking something, and then they want to fucking change it. And in changing it, it changes exactly what it is. And of course, the changing it is never a good thing, because it's not like, oh, they're interjecting some new ideas like, the remake of Scarface or, Cronenberg's Fly or something like that. No. They got to change it because it's all about the politics, because, Star Wars wasn't good the way it was. We got to make it, Rey, the Mary Sue of the universe. She's perfect. She's so fucking perfect. Same thing with Michael Burnham and all these other characters. And it's not because they're women. It's because they're unbelievable, unlikable fucking twits. And you can't stand them because they're exactly the type of fucking people that nitpick at shit that you like your whole life. They're the fucking girlfriend who comes in and says, why do you have all this geeky Star Wars shit? You're 20-something. Can't you just sell it or throw it out? You're not going to play with it. I don't see you playing with toys. I have toys. And that's exactly who these fucking women represent. And that's not what we want in our fucking movies. And it's not always just the women, don't get me wrong. But they use women as those vessels. Get what I'm saying here? Like, that's exactly what Rey is. She is the antithesis of everything that Star Wars stands for.
Yeah, I don't even think about her anymore. That's how irrelevant those movies are.
But what is she? She's a fucking soccer mom in a Star Wars movie. Get the fuck out of the Star Wars!
I hate to say it, but you can actually trace a lot of the blame for this Mary Sue female character. This package, this pseudo-feminism they've packaged and force-fed us. You can trace a lot of it back to Twilight. Because Twilight introduced, and that was the thing, is at the time that Twilight was written, first person was out. Like that's been a thing. It's in and out for like young fiction, especially writing like from the first person point of view. actually maybe it was in with Twilight. Twilight might have been like when it was like really, really in to do that. And so you're reading it literally from her perspective. And this was the first time you had such a blah, nothing character, such a blank slate, literally could be anybody, just had the vaguest of teen angst that any girl could relate to. And I think, you know, seeing that, the way that's part of why that got so popular. Part of why that, you know, people latched onto that was every girl could see herself as Bella. And so studios see that, oh shit, if we put our audience, give you this, we can essentially create a skin for our audience.
Rob calls them self-insert characters.
Exactly. I think Jeff you said point of view character, right?
Well, no, POV character
It can be
is a good thing.
yeah.
I'd be a self-insert character as well.
Yeah, a self-insert character. Yeah, for the ones that are just totally blank, where you're supposed to just put yourself. They have nothing else. Yeah, exactly. So the thing is studios realized they could use a self-insert character for women like this, you know, pseudo skin of oh, we'll just make her super powered and all this and that and the other, and because we can get women with low self-esteem to identify hardcore with these nobody characters, we can get them to fight tooth and nail for the feminism that they're promoting, even though what they're actually promoting is really a version of subservience to our, you know, our vision, our message, our story, our who cares. We don't give a shit. Give us your money.
Well, that's exactly what The Last Jedi stands for. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Oh no, that was my conclusion.
I thought Jeff was going to say something there too. My bad.
Oh no, Twilight sucks dick. That's
what you said. Okay, I thought I heard your voice.
Oh,
no, you're
actually,
100%.
But I'll just say it randomly.
Oh, okay.
Jeff thinking.
I did, but no, like everything you just said is exactly everything The Last Jedi stands for. To the point where they fucking literally say it in the movie: "Kill the past."
Well, I think
destroy it if you have to.
Well, I think a lot of that antagonism that really. Look, it's. I keep making these weird comparisons, but there are certain things in pop culture, or just maybe even business. I don't follow business as much as I do pop culture, but there are certain things you can trace, and it's this haughty nature after a massive success. So Star Wars had that problem. The PlayStation had that problem. Whereas PlayStation 2 is the highest selling system of all time. They thought they were untouchable. PlayStation 3, everyone's going to want that. They had the 2, right? So what did they do? They made it hard to develop for, and it made it super pricey. But they were riding on a cloud from that past, you know, generation. Same thing with Star Wars. They're riding in from The Force Awakens and all this stuff, and nothing can be wrong. Nothing can, you know, do wrong. And then, boom, that's what they get. So I think that's the situation that always follows. You know, you have this success, and a corporation just can't keep their head down and continue with, you know, I hate to say it, like Marvel in the beginning. Did they sit around and go, oh, the Avengers is a huge success and we're done? No, they were back a year later with Iron Man, and we were on our way to the next Avengers. So
no, and the other problem is that's exactly what I was saying before. Is you basically have all these Karens, and I'm not saying they're all a bunch of white women, but they're just going to fall under that category for now, who come in and tell everybody in Hollywood what's wrong with these franchises and what needs to be fixed about them. Why do you think they keep talking about a female Avengers movie? Why do you keep thinking they keep bringing non-binary characters and Transley Crusher into fucking Star Trek? That's why it's bullshit. I mean, I know we keep
his name.
I did. I made up a name. I don't give a fuck. They don't tell us enough times what their real fucking name. I don't give a shit about any of the characters that are on there now. Why should I care about the non-binary 6?
Not only that, they don't even show them until 3 episodes in. It's like it's the same shit again when they named the show Discovery, but they don't even show the ship until 3 episodes in. It's like, seriously, they missed the mark so much. They're using people for their gender identities, and it's just disgusting. Like, these people are just using people as a diversity shield.
Yeah.
You got Timmy the wheelchair man.
Yeah, we had to name him Timmy because nobody else did.
Can I share something happy that I discovered today? It just came to me now because I discovered this from one of my friends who recently invested in a vape pen for her marijuana usage, and I just want everyone to know that even though we've regressed as a culture in so many ways and have become so damaged as a people on so many fronts, we have progressed in our weed culture to the point where now some cartridges for vapes come with little stickers that have the flavor of the weed that you can put on it, so that if you smoke a lot of weed, you don't mix up your sour OG something in your whatever. Anyway, I just remembered that.
2020 truly has some moments of.
I just found that
Jersey passed weed. Is that it? Is that
Oh,
the
New
only
Jersey
news anyone cares about?
they went full legal.
Damn it! When is all the other states gonna do this shit,
Nice.
man?
That's what I saw from New York Post here on Twitter. But I
So
don't know.
did we miss the asteroid? Like, are we safe?
Oh, are we officially safe from the asteroid? I was kind of hoping that was.
I know. I was like, maybe asteroid. That's a long shot, but sometimes you want to bet on a long shot.
Right. Sometimes you need to.
I mean, if you don't wake up tomorrow, folks, it's because asteroid.
Because asteroid.
Asteroid 2020. You asked, it answered.
Oh,
Tell me if Kanye wins. That's all I care about.
that was I posted something. To me, it was just the most 2020 headline ever. Russian sausage king gets killed with crossbow in sauna. That happened.
Laugh.
It happened. It's real. It's hilarious. It is. It's absolutely as hilarious as murder can ever possibly be. Yeah, it gave me a chuckle, and I'm sorry for that man's loss and his family and his sausage legacy. But goddamn,
He's the Abe Froman of the Soviet Union.
but you can't get a more 2020 death than that.
Speaking of Abe, oh, good.
I was saying you can't get a more 2020 game than this gift that one of our listeners, Wise Guys Entertainment, sent us.
He's not here.
I didn't think he was. I'm just saying. I'm shouting out in case he listens at some point. Which is a shot glass. That has an arrow on it, and it's like an updated version of Spin the Bottle. You just spin the arrow, and it points at whoever it points at, and that person just takes a shot of alcohol. Doesn't say 2020. I don't know what does.
So yeah, speaking of 2020, I think we have probably that many super chats, don't we? Or do we get pretty caught up on those yet?
It'd be nice if we had 2020 of them.
Well, at least 20, I was thinking. But
Oh, of course. Oh my God, dude! After Saturday, the Halloween stream, I don't remember it, honestly. I texted you and I said, thanks for coming on. I wish I could remember it. Salvador was on. I was like, thanks, man, for coming on. And he was like, I had a great time. I'm like, I wish I could remember it. So Swinging Cod, if you're out there, I lost a day. Because of you, I have lost a day of my life.
instead of gaining an hour, you lost a day, huh?
Yeah, I lost 24. Because I fucking slept all Sunday.
So I was already hanging out over here when Tom came on, wasn't I?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Tom, was I hanging out already when you came on?
No, you were over drawing or something, and you were doing something
Oh.
like hunched over or whatever, to where you sounded like you were drunk, and then you yelled at me because I said you were drunk, and you're like, I'm not drinking.
No, I said I was drinking because you
Oh, okay.
everyone was making fun of me for not drinking, and I said I was.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you said I was the one who said you were drunk.
Oh, I don't remember that.
But no,
part.
then I left. I had to leave a little early because I had a prior engagement. But yeah, I don't know if you were. I think you were still drawing when I left or whatever.
Okay, what time do you remember how long into it you left?
It was like it'd probably been like 8 or 9 your guys' time.
Okay, so about halfway, because I think it was probably not long after you left then.
It probably had to be more like 9, I think, because you guys didn't start till like a little after 8 your time, right, Jeff? Or was it 7?
We started at 5:30
Yeah.
our time.
Yeah, 8 Eastern.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I didn't come on until because you guys went for like an hour before you brought us on. So like, I'm trying to remember what time it was we came in because it was like 11 or so. I think my time, or 10, 11, somewhere in there when I left.
Shit. All right. Yeah. But anyway, so we were trying to put it together because Jeff was like, were you here for this? I was like, because he thought I had only come over later in the night. I took over to help catch up with some super chats because Jeff was asleep. I had been sitting here for hours at that point. And even though I wasn't always, tapped and tuned into the stream, I was, like next to him and writing and stuff and like present next to him for a good long chunk of that stream. He had no recollection of that. He thought I had been over the whole time. But like once I came over and showed him what I had been doodling, I was over here. So it was fun. Anyway.
So Fook Google 2 says, Cameron, you're speaking rationally? That's radical.
Hmm.
Adam, thank you very much, Fook Google 2. Adam Wofford, thank you very much for your generous super chat. He says, as a 4,200-year-old man, the Black Death was way worse. This, you guys have it better now than they did. Also, that play that Abraham Lincoln was worse than The Last Jedi, and that's before he got shot. Tom knows.
Oh.
Every time I think of Lincoln, I think of two things. I think of, first, Bill and Ted. Second, I think of that episode of The Twilight Zone where the guy goes back the night Lincoln was assassinated. It's got the professor from Gilligan's Island.
Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln.
You do that voice a little too well there, Tom.
I know how to spell Lincoln. 7 minutes ago.
Party on, dudes.
Be excellent to each other. And that was in every fucking trailer for that movie when it came out. Party on, dudes. It's like, why is Abraham Lincoln saying party on, dudes?
I guess it worked, though. It built a legacy for that franchise.
Hell yeah.
But thank you very much, Adam Walford. Cull-X81 says, definitely more like Woody Allen. Court decision won't matter. They will always be guilty in the eye of the press.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see. We also have Barney the Nucleosaurus Woke Reek says, hashtag justice for Johnny. He did not get that in his libel case as well.
Yeah. Well, here's hope for the next few, or at least the next one anyway, I guess.
Chris Leticio, thank you very much for your $3 super chat of a pair, giving a thumbs up. Thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. We also have our friend Jeffrey Turner, who says, voted for the first time today. Tomorrow, Cobra Kai game stream. Oh, nice. Well, congratulations on both of those. You and I need to catch up with Cobra Kai because I really want to watch season 2, and I can't watch it out of order because you'll just be like, what is this show?
That's accurate.
So we should make Cobra Kai a reality right after the ward or the matron or whatever the fuck that M. Night Shyamalan show. The servant.
The servant.
I'm picking the most obscure words to describe her job. Fine. The marm. Wait, no, that'd be a school marm.
You're weird.
I am. Anyway, Dr. Coffin says, Anna's 100% correct about M. Night. I waited 20 years for Glass and had my heart broken. No hell is deep or dark enough for him. Harsh words. Dr. Coffin I haven't seen Glass, but I did like The Visit, and I really liked Split. Split's the movie I liked. Sorry, I haven't seen Glass. Split was really good. So
Glass was okay. I didn't like the ending.
I just don't like how crap. I think I did like is how I didn't know that was going to be a shared universe type of film until I saw the end credits of The Visit, and I was like, oh my god, it's Bruce Willis, cool.
Split, you mean?
Sorry.
And the thing is, I know more people were just confused by that than anything. And it got spoiled for me ahead of time, but it's not like I would have went to see Split if it wasn't knowing that anyway, probably. So, because I was one of those, I loved Unbroken. And I was so on board with part 2 and 3. I'm like, I'm waiting for them motherfuckers. Because he talked about them like for the next year or so after that movie came out. And then it just went nowhere.
Vladimir Dragunov, thank you very much. He says, quick, discuss who is the Alpha Karen. Kate Gosselin. Like, that's, Karen Prime in my brain.
KK. Karen Kathleen Kennedy herself. KKK.
Oh.
A certain actress with very large feet.
Ronald McDonald, got it.
Keep your comments to yourself.
He's Joseph Goodowitz. Thank you very much for your super generous super chat. He says, screw it. The bars open up. Drink up. Have fun. Get lit. Like Jeff says, be excellent to each other.
Yeah, drink up me hearties, yo-ho!
I wish everyone would go do that tonight.
That'd
Just
be nice.
Share a drink with your fellow human.
Don't talk about who you voted for.
No. Talk about how delicious the cheese is and then get pissed off when you realize that no one told you how good this cheese was.
Okay.
Somebody in the chat's going to know what that's from. Bowie8085, thank you very much. He says, we have a Henry Cavill tied up in the basement for Anna. Love you all.
Too bad she's not. You're going to have to save that one to tell her when she gets back.
I'll text it to her too. She'll be like, Henry Cavill, anything. So let's see. 6 turning 4 burning, thank you very much. He says Bond is supposed to be suave and debonair. I just don't get that vibe from Craig. Nor do I. He looks like a bad guy. He looks like somebody Sean Connery would fight.
Yeah. I'll keep up.
What do you guys think about that? He's too brutish, and they missed the time frame of him being suave. It's you're too rough around the edges. You're too old. That's
Rob said they were trying to kind of emulate Bourne more so.
Dude, do me a favor. Before you watch the Daniel Craig Bond flicks, take a quick detour. Watch the first 3 Bourne movies.
I've seen the first one. I just wasn't a huge fan.
Well,
it's not like there's anything wrong with it. It's just not my style of movie.
They ripped it off stylistically so hard that I want you to be able to see it, because we're talking that stupid camera shake thing that they do. I mean, they would even do those weird close-up fighting scenes. Like, everything was borrowed from that in a bad way, because the Bourne movies are good on their own, just not everything needs to be the Bourne movies.
Well, there's that, and it just seems to me like they just wanted an anti-Bond. I mean, almost up to the point of just literally getting a cuck in there almost at this point.
Oh, it's sad. So, Ninja Lawyer Steve, thank you very much. He says, Die Hard on Valentine's Day, try Anaconda on Mother's Day. Yeah, it actually happened. We wanted to see a movie, and that was the only one there.
Awesome.
You got to tell that story.
Don't want none unless you got buns, huh?
Hey, Ninja Lawyer Steve, if you do me a favor, if you have a story that you'd like to share of that on the podcast, since you have my regular email address, shoot me just like a truncated version if you want me to share it on the show.
I think my mom wanted to see that on Mother's Day, if I remember right.
Well, if I can quote the great Tom, who said, my mom likes goofy shit. So
she does like goofy shit. I'm like, why did you like this movie, Mom? It sucked. What am I supposed to do?
Maybe your mom had an eye for early talent and, knew that J-Lo was going to be this megastar. She's like, look, Selena was good. It was a one-off hit. Anaconda is really going to make or break this Jennifer Lopez. And
she did say something to the effect of, like, no matter what, she's always going to be Jenny from the block. And I didn't know what she meant at that time, but now I think in retrospect, I know what you mean.
Don't be fooled by the rocks that she's got.
Exactly.
I won't be. I won't be. Yeah, but Ninja Lawyer Steve, I did see Die Hard the first day it dropped too. Me and a couple of guys were like, let's go to the Die Hard marathon. It did all 5 films back to back to back to back to back, whatever that is. And Die Hard 5 is Last Jedi bad for me.
What does that got? I mean, look, I've never done anything like that outside of the new 3 Planet of the Apes films. Mm-hmm. And at least that was a ramp up. I can't imagine going to something that long and going on such a fucking, like, depressing detour downward.
But on the opposite side of that, I did the entire first wave of Marvel when it was new. So that was the longest string of movies I ever did.
Oh,
it was
wow.
We got there at 9 a.m. and we left at 3 a.m. So.
But see, now after Die Hard with a Vengeance, I just leave.
I like Die Hard 4 enough that...
I mean, I might sit through that, but that's the thing, is you went to see the premiere 5, so, like, I would have just been so depressed after 5. Because here's my thing, I didn't go see 5 for a reason, because I knew that script, and I knew how fucking bad it was.
Yeah,
I can't believe they did this, because it was roaming around for, like, 10 fucking years. It was the first movie outside of Live Free or Die Hard that was written as a Die Hard movie, and it was like, this is bad. This is very bad. Because all the other movies are based on books or a script that was completely something different.
Oh, just like Monty Python. Liquor Jim, thank you very much. He says, Mr. Pasha was great. Glad he shared his insight. Yes, I always love having Kamran Pasha on. I got to get him on and do one of those interviews that I've done with like J.W. Rinsler, where it's like just a bunch of questions and get to a lot of different topics. I love those. Those are fun.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. You're great at those too.
Thank you. Tim Riggs, thank you very much for your super generous super chat. He says, good evening, High Council and fellow viewers. While I am many, many shots in, I wish everyone a glorious evening and great enjoyment in life. Jeff is more right than many admit. Please, please be excellent to each other.
I will try.
Oh my God, there they go.
There's the Street Racers.
Who won this time?
Rick Yoon by a nose.
I got them too. I think they came here.
They're going
They're
so
that fast?
They
Holy
traveled
shit.
state line.
Hmm.
Grimjoy, we read your super chat earlier about the R-rated TMNT. Thank you very much, though. Mark C says, Tom, careful. You bring up Back to the Future as an example. Hollyweird might take you literally.
Don't.
To get ready for Halloween, I went through a couple of the Treehouse of Horrors, and I was saddened by how great The Simpsons used to be. Like the Shinning one is probably the best Treehouse of Horror.
Boy, the Shinning, do you want to get sued?
We get sued.
Hmm.
Did you hear that joke when I was watching it? It goes and they're like, "That's just the plot of The Shining," and he goes, "The Shinning, you don't want to get sued."
Hmm.
But yeah, did you guys have a fun Halloween? I forgot to ask. Mac, I know.
Not really.
No, I'm sorry, the stream wasn't. Oh shit, pancake, stop!
Shit pancake on Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Vivica. How are you?
Kitties. See, kitties make everything better.
Oh, Tom, I just want to let you know I have a new street name.
What's that?
It's Lil SP.
Lil SP, huh?
Because my brother Shane, his is Soft J, and that sounded really cool. So I wanted one that was cool. And Papa called me SP, and that just didn't sound cool enough. So we made it Lil SP, and now I'm cool.
Yeah, shit, pancake, you're the coolest cat on the street.
Are you going to come out with a rap album now?
Oh, yeah. We're actually working on my song. It's called You Don't.
That's all joking aside, Tom. That's something that we're doing.
You tell me that you love me, but you don't.
You looked up at
Oh,
me when you said
balls.
that. Worst case scenario to be part of Party Boob.
That's right. I don't know what a party boob is, but I'm willing to be a part of it.
I will say this though, Mark C. If Back to the Future gets remade, rebooted, something in my lifetime, it will probably cause me a great deal of agony, maybe even physical pain. Like I probably won't be able to let that one go because we joke, and yeah, we've been through it with Star Wars, but it's a funny joke until it happens, and then you live in that nightmare. It's like you live in alternate 1985. So
I think people would come unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
I do too. It's a sacred movie. It's one of those films that everybody either likes or loves. I've met maybe one or two people that absolutely hate Back to the Future. Most people are ambivalent towards it.
How do you hate Back to the Future?
Trying to be a standoffish dick.
Unless you were anally raped by an orangutan while watching it, I just don't understand.
If a DeLorean killed you or a family member, you might be entitled to
Even then, I still don't understand.
That's true. It's just a great movie across the board. That new
That's what I'm
4K
saying.
product.
Like, unless you've got a good reason, I don't get it. I gotta hear it. It's gotta be like blow my fucking mind. Never heard anything so disgusting or scary or crappy in my whole life that happened to you while watching that movie. Because I can't understand anybody just saying, "Oh, it's a bad movie."
It's not a bad film. I mean, the one of the harshest criticisms I heard was from Robert Zemeckis, because he talked about, oh, there are shots that are out of focus and this and that, and he like tried to tear it apart, but he goes, but the script is flawless. So
That's what I'm saying. Nobody can. I would love to fight somebody on that. I want to see the idiot. I want to see the person who can sit here and try and look me right in the eyes and say, yeah, Back to the Future, it's not a good movie. It's a shit script. Doesn't work. All kinds of plot holes, this kind of crap and the other, that has nothing to do with quantum fucking physics or anything like that.
Well, Tom, I want to get some debates on the High Council coming up, so maybe that'll be...
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that debate thing too, yeah. So
I feel like you'd be a great guy to argue.
I feel like we should just make it its own show almost. But
I
yeah.
want to take indefensible positions.
That would be fun, and you should take indefensible positions. But
I'm
we should
good at
keep
shit
your...
like that.
But I want you to be on camera so we can see the moment when you're like, oh, shit.
I'll still make it work.
Hey, that's part of the fun.
Oh crap! I think I went out.
But yeah, Tom, that would be that should be its own show. We'll talk. We should
Flawless fucking movie, period.
Mm.
Can't beat it.
I'm gonna break my tradition, and when we get our our new TV, I don't think I'm gonna break it in with GoldenEye. I'm gonna do it with Back to the Future. So I'm super excited. All right, Scott Party. Mark C again, thank you very much. He says, so far with a price tag of $5 cheaper than Marvel Legends, I have bought everything on the Masters of the Universe or Origins line. God bless Mattel. Mark C, I am trying to reach out to another YouTuber about some toy talk, as well as Michael from Retro Blast and I are friends. We've been friends for a while, so it's like he wants to come back on the show, Tom. So we'll be having Michael on.
Sweet.
I'll work out an exact date with him, and I want to get Salvador on with Michael too, because I wanted us to talk about some of the geek culture stuff, but just on a level of like.
We should do that soon with Christmas coming up, man.
Yeah,
toy season.
Let's work out a string of specials.
Yeah.
I mean,
mid-season.
How much
holiday swing?
Yeah, mid-season holiday swing. I mean, how much fun was the International High Council?
Fucking blast! But I've been trying to get one of those put back together again. But I'll try.
What, you know,
one of those together too. Yeah.
I love those. I don't know, man. I got the bug for all of it. Making videos, live shows, comics, all that fun stuff. So, we have one more super chat from our friend Rosetta Allen, who says, "Blessings and good night, Jeff and panel." Well, thank you very much, Rosetta. I hope you're still here because there's something to share, right?
Yeah.
Could you give me the link real quick?
I think she sends your Twitter too.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check.
Do
I still have the Ninja Turtles on the screen? No, I don't. Cool.
Should be where she said.
Nah, I took that down a while ago.
Please.
Oh, because actually, Tom, I had something pulled up for
If
that.
not, I can send you these.
Oh, that I don't know then. I took my thing down. I had up a while ago.
I had the movie suits, which it was funny when I was Googling the movie suits, all I kept getting were the NECA figures, and it's a testament to what a good job they did.
Oh, they're amazing. I got both of them.
Those sculpts on that are ridiculous. Oh, also, real quick, while we're looking for that thing, to bounce back to Mark C, I have been seeing the Masters of the Universe WWE crossovers with the little comics, and those are so fun. That's what I'm saying about Mattel. You said God bless Mattel. That's why I'm so happy with them right now, because do they make my favorite toys? No, but the stuff I buy from is always, excellent quality. I don't know. When I pick up a wrestling figure, I don't go, oh, this looks like shit. I usually go, this looks cool. This is the best one yet. So, unless they forget to paint the Rock's hair.
Speaking of things that are excellent in toys, did you see that Incendium added death to the Bill and Ted Bogus Journey toys?
I did not, but I'm going to
that's
get those.
The one she did coloring for. So
and they also have Highlander now in the Kurgan.
She's doing that.
Clancy Brown?
Yeah.
The Indiegogo pre-mailing list for the her Eagles art book too.
Nice.
There can be only one.
So we're gonna share real quick. Our friend Rosetta Allen is part of the Fandom Menace. She's creating stuff, and she's part of a couple projects. So first, wanted to share the link for her comic that she's a part of. She did the coloring for. It is titled, I had it right here, I just pulled it up. It's called Tilt Part 2, Superheroes Meets the Sopranos, and Sopranos Get Whacked. So you can see that Rosetta contributed color work. She did the alternate cover, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
So that is right there in the chat. And as always, we like to support independent art and projects like that. And then if you're interested in other works by Rosetta, we also have an Indiegogo mailing list to be a part of for a project she's working on right now. And this one is on, let's put that in the link right there. This one's called Eagles, an Adventure Through Photos, My Passion Through Photography.
So for those who don't know, Rosetta has had the privilege of photographing bald eagles repeatedly, in many cases up close, and does a beautiful job of capturing these incredible animals. And so she's putting together an art book of her eagle photos. And she's getting her mailing list. So if you think you're going to be interested in backing this project when it comes out, you can sign up on that, and you'll get all the news of the project. Plus, you'll get a signed photo of a close-up of Spirit the Eagle.
Mailing lists are a good idea.
They are.
And they're a good idea. Mark C, thank you very much again. He says, if you want to talk toys, Masters of the Universe, Spec, there is Pixel Dan and everyone else. I do watch Pixel Dan from time to time. I think he puts out a good retrospective, especially on the early Toy Biz X-Men line, the 90s one that was pre-animated series. So for those that are roughly my age that remember, we had this weird influx of X-Men merchandise as the Jim Lee stuff was out, but the merchandise didn't reflect the comic books. So it was kind of weird. It's like, oh, I'm going to go get a Wolverine figure, but he was brown. And I had only kind of seen him as yellow in some of the merchandise. So I was like, that's weird. Or, you go and get Cyclops with the cool hair and all this stuff, and it's like he's got a bald cap, and it was weird. So that's why I know Pixel Dan, because he puts out really good stuff like that. But I'm always down to work with people that like to talk about toys.
Pixel Dan won't probably come anywhere near me.
Oh, do you know him?
No. But he's just like, those Midnight Dead guys? No way. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. He probably didn't even know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
No, I watch his stuff. I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I'll still give the nod to Retro Blasted as my favorite toy.
Yeah, that's my deal. Michael's my boy. I mean, that was my first and toy channel, and I'm a loyalist.
First, last, and only line of defense against the
And I love Michael. He's just so cool.
He's fun. He's a fun guy. Never had a bad conversation with him ever.
No, and he's a really cool, genuine dude. So I'm glad I met him through you, and I thank you for that.
So we've kind of. Do we want to just call it a night? It's funny. I was like, oh, we're gonna go super long. This night's gonna be crazy, and it's like,
well, it's
you
up to
guys
you.
are
I'm
fun.
good to go, but that's up to you guys. I mean,
I probably should get on to my next.
I will say that the election's getting kind of it's running away at the moment. I will say that. I don't know if this is the way it's going to be when we wake up.
I don't think anyone's gonna know anything until probably tomorrow morning, because they gotta,
Well, folks, if you're gonna stay up all night, don't. Be safe. Get to work safe and all that other shit you guys.
Yeah, if you got work and shit, don't stay up for this election stuff. It's not worth it. I have a feeling it's going to be either real close after the night's over. It's just not going to be that big of a deal to anybody in the morning. It's just going to have to continue with your life either way, really. So.
Pete Mitchell, I did not have that play set, but Rosetta Allen sent a super chat. Jesse says, Jesse, check your text.
There you go.
There you go. Right.
Your test.
And
I've gotten all those classic Masters of the Universe toys, Mark C, and they're awesome as fuck.
I think I'm going to use this as an excuse to finally pick up a He-Man and a Skeletor.
Rosetta,
wait, the stream just stopped apparently. Hold on.
It's still going on my end.
Oh,
that's right.
Oh, what was it? I guess got like a couple of different people in a row. That's why I was like, oh wait, stream dropped, because we had Miss Ninja Julia and Xenoworks and Dr. Coffin Nails all at once.
Yeah, I see that, but it still says we're going.
And Donkeysaurus Rex. Are we on the air?
Yeah, there's been a lot of weird issues anyway with
there's
all the overload from all everybody streaming.
Yeah, because
all
it's
the
probably
election stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Let me see here.
Stream is buffering, says Miss Ninja Julian. So
it might just be an area possibly affected by it. It's possible. We're good to go on my end still.
All right. Well, folks, if you could just refresh it.
Yeah.
Any kind of technical glitch like this is usually not on our end. Not that we're trying to pass the buck. We don't get to control YouTube infrastructure because we work for them, not the other way around.
True story.
You know what? I guess it's just time to put this one to bed. Sadly, I think I have to delist it too because we got slapped with this COVID warning at the opening of the show because of the conversation we had.
I thought we didn't even mention it, did we?
Enough that I got.
For fuck's sake, are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, Cameron was sharing his.
I suppose if you use one too many terms, I suppose it.
Yeah, one too many. But unfortunately, Cameron's perspective is laced with the button words that they're looking out for and all that.
Yeah. So, sorry, folks, but we do have to put this one away. You can find the link on social media. It'll stay delisted if you want to go back and hear it. It's a good show. There's a lot of great topics, but because of that, gotta play
Yeah.
the game. So
If not, maybe you can just cut out the first bit and re-upload it or something.
that wouldn't be a bad idea. I can do that. Yeah. So Mecca, where can we find you on the internet, and what do you got coming up? Anything you want to promote?
Oh, I'm thinking. I think I have to edit a Gina Carano video or something. I don't know yet. I'm trying to catch up from streaming a distraction stream today. So I have a channel. Go watch it. I was doing a chill stream of Wheel of Fortune this afternoon just to take people's mind off of the craziness. So who knows what's gonna happen tomorrow?
Yeah.
Maybe a chill stream too. Maybe do another chill stream tomorrow. I don't know.
I'll be doing the Matriarchy 2:00 Pacific, 5:00 Eastern on my channel with Anna, talking about not the election, but lots of other fun stuff. We always have a good time.
Tom, where can we find you on the internet? Is there anything you'd like to talk about? Promote?
Well, you can always find me on Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark, of course, hanging out here with hooligans like this and all kinds of other places. As far as anything specific, not offhand, but we did get another super chat.
Yeah. Legalized adulthood. Thank you very much for your super chat. Super chat. Tom's per diem as a Perry Chan extra.
Sweet.
I'm glad you're happy. Yes.
Hey, well, you get it. No, you get my per diem.
Yeah. Mine too, Miss Ninja Julian. Mine too. So, folks, I just want to thank everybody who's been checking out our videos. We've been getting really good views on those. So I'm going to work on something and get that out for Thursday and then get back in the rotation. Full transparency, that Halloween stream was a barn burner. So that's why I didn't really. The thing is, we were still, we're 3 hours behind out here. So we ended the stream. It was what, like 10:30?
I was going to say, when I came back, I think you guys were done already.
Yeah, it was like 10:30. Dude, I couldn't. It was a lot. Dude, Swinging Cod sent us 3 $80 super chats back to back, and that's 4 shots.
I remember you guys were in the middle of a couple of the big... Yeah, Swinging Cod was swinging super chats at you guys. I remember that. You guys were pretty sloshed when I left.
Dion passed out on air. I had to mute him.
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he was snoring on air. I was like, mute. But,
and I got a cool toy if anyone wants to see it.
Ooh, hold on, I'll make that.
What is it?
Is that? Oh, Ghost.
Oh, Ghost.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Super 7.
I had to because of the packaging. It's so cool. It's like the stuff that they drop at the concerts.
Yeah, Super 7 does some great shit.
Yeah, they got a lot of these. I wouldn't mind grabbing the rest of the Ghost ones or the Misfits ones and stuff now, but I had to get this one because of the packaging. So
I was against them as a company, but they're putting out really good stuff. And
I'm glad they took over the reaction stuff, man, because I've got a bunch of the Funko ones, and I missed out on a lot of the Super 7 ones, and I'm pissed. Because I've got most of the old Funko reaction set.
They did like Back to the Future, right?
Yeah, I've got the original Back to the Futures, but I haven't got the ones from Part 2 yet.
I beat you there. I have Marty.
Are they out already? Because
Yes, because I bought the Toy Fair exclusive, or no, the Comic-Con exclusive, and that showed up well over a month ago.
Shit, I missed that one. I got the Child's Play one. I didn't know there was a Back to the Future one. So
I'll send you a picture of it. It's a hoverboard. Oh, nice. Yeah. Little Good Guys doll.
Yep. Funko, or not Funko, but Super 7, yeah.
They were going to do Pee-wee's Playhouse, or they did Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
But, dude, those were so overpriced. Or an original Pee-wee Herman figure isn't even that expensive.
I know, dude. Here's my thing with those. Here was my problem with the original line, and I didn't get all the original line for one specific reason, is like, you had a lot of them in there where they already had toy lines. So, like, to me, that kind of defeated the purpose of the whole idea of the Funko reaction line.
Yep.
Was because that was based off the idea that these alien figures that never got to be released in the first place. And so they just continued to do that with things like Pulp Fiction and Rocky Horror Picture Show, and movies like Goonies that probably should have gotten toys, and Gremlins that didn't get a standard toy line. They just got some stupid little rubber figures, But then they started doing like Star Trek and stuff, and it's like, they did Star Trek toys.
I'm waiting for them to do Star Wars figures.
And the same thing. They're not. That's the thing, is like they're gonna look just like the old fucking. That's the whole point of. Because I didn't get the whole thing with the Ninja Turtles and the Masters of the Universe ones either. It's like they're already toys. I don't. Yeah.
Well, another complaint I have, I usually only buy their figures if, like you said, if they don't have another toy line, because why would I want to get the downgraded version of anything? Like if you're a collector out there, you might understand this mindset, but like you always want the best version. So if I pick up, the new Ghostbusters, it's because I wanted it better than the Mattel ones, or I want X, Y, and Z better than the last. So with that mentality in mind, all of a sudden, I just did.
Did I dip out?
Did my audio cut out?
I don't know if you cut out or I did.
Yeah.
Oh, he did? Because I
don't know which one, but yeah, all the audio cut out.
Yeah, something happened there. That was weird. I didn't hear anything you said after. Like, it just garbled right out.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Is your per diem good enough, Tom?
My per diem is getting to hang out with you guys.
Well, you know what? That makes me happy too. Oh, one last thing while we're on the Super 7 reaction figures. They're making Power Rangers. That's weird to me.
Again, another one like, why? I don't get it. I got the Beavis and Butthead ones. I did get those.
I should get those. I actually want because Beavis and Butthead had those really shitty figures in the 90s.
Yeah, they weren't the best.
I'm waiting for them to make Axel. This is the perfect place to make Axel Foley.
I know. How many times have we been fucking saying this, Jeff? You
Well,
got what? 2 or 3 figures right away of just Axel.
Yeah.
You got his original outfit, his outfit from part 2, and you can even throw in one from part 3 if you wanted to.
Or shit. I mean, there's 3 separate looks from part 1 alone.
I was going to say, yeah, there's a couple. Yeah, you brought that up too. Yeah, there's a couple different looks from part 1 as well. Yeah.
So, Funko.
And then we want Billy, and we want Taggart, and we want, I'll finish it out. I mean, I don't care. I guess, I would like to have Bogomil, but if we can't have Bogomil, I'm okay with that.
You could even treat it like a box set where you can only get it as the 3 guys. That way you can sell it online, charge a little more.
Well, right. Yeah, like you said, you can get one of Axel by himself with the one outfit. Then you get one with the shitty Chevy Nova. And then you can get one with, like, Surge.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can get, and you can only get, like, Billy and Taggart with their car.
I was even thinking you could...
And then you can get the 2 captains, Bogomil and, what's his face? Oh, God, I can't believe I just spaced out his fucking name.
Lutz?
Yeah, Chief Lutz. Jesus Christ.
It's like Kibbles and Bits, only different. If I gave you 2 more...
No, I meant, Eddie Murphy's boss.
Inspector Todd.
Inspector Todd, Jesus, yes. Thank you.
Dude, I was going to say, you could be a super dick if you wanted to sell Taggart and Rosewood, but 2 action figures of dudes in suit wouldn't sell. Only way you sell Axel Foley in the Detroit Lions jacket is with them. Because that way everyone thinks... like,
you could do that too. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
And then part 1 can just be him. I'd buy Surge, but I'd also buy Belky Bertakamus action figures. So.
Well, no, yeah, you got to put one of them with Serge. You got to have Serge. You got to have Jenny, too. So there you go. There's your 3 characters from part 1. One Axel by himself, one with Serge, one with Jenny. Then you go part 2, you have them be with Taggart and Rosewood. And then part 3, you just throw Bogomil in there from part 2, and Inspector Todd come with part 3.
The cool thing, though, too, is if they invest in a Bogomil figure, he'll double as a Dick Jones figure.
Exactly.
So if you work for Dick Jones, you can also work for the Beverly Hills Police Department.
This is basically the same outfit and everything.
See, that's the toy. That's the R-rated universe I want to play in. The RoboCop, Die Hard, Beverly Hills Cop. I don't think it's R-rated, but Big Trouble in Little China should just be thrown in there anyway because it's fun. And that's your toy line. I don't know what it's called.
I think I missed out on the Big Trouble in Little China. Now you just reminded me of that.
I think I actually did get a Jack Burton. I
don't know if I got it. I might have got a Jack, but I don't know if I got the rest of them.
And the figures for the 2 dudes of Michael Jackson.
Oh, we could add in for part 2. You could add in what's her face, Brigitte Nielsen too, maybe.
Yeah, I think you need Brigitte Nielsen. I think you also need Hugh Hefner.
Hugh.
And you also need that. Dude, you should get Jeffrey as well. Paul Reiser. Fuck it.
I was thinking that because they already have him for Aliens, don't they? And a couple other. Yeah, you could just. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
What's his name? Like Carter Roy in that movie?
What you do is you have Jeffrey come with the fucking Ferrari.
Oh my god! Yes, Mario Andretti Freeman. It'll say it across the box.
He wrecked the fucking Ferrari.
It's a sad-looking Jeffrey with a cast on his leg.
Hello. He hung up. Can you believe this?
RoboCop meets Die Hard. That would be, if the timing was right, like, I don't know, 1993. Well, no, because RoboCop was a
Dick
joke.
Jones's Bogomil? What? Wait.
Did somebody in the chat just say that?
No, I was just.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did
like,
you
that's
realize
the big
arms were
twist.
so damn long?
Eddie Murphy or Axel Foley has to team up with RoboCop.
I mean, they're both in Detroit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Your move, creep. Why you gotta be calling me a creep, man?
That's our joke for the movie. We got to make the worst movie possible. So Axel Foley was chasing down some kind of drug runners in 1980s Detroit, stumbled upon some time-traveling cocaine, came to New Detroit. It's like a Rip Van Winkle thing. He got so high that he just passed out for 40 years but didn't age. And then there he meets RoboCop. And, Axel alone in the future, everyone he's ever known and loved is dead. But he's got RoboCop as his new partner.
Jeff, I just realized there's not enough time-traveling cocaine in store.
I mean, I thought the market for time-traveling devices was all used up after Hot Tub Time Machine. But, time-traveling cocaine? What the hell?
Jesus, I want to use that so bad.
We should just make stuff with time-traveling cocaine. It's like, what? Dude, that's the fucking plot device. It's like for Back to the Future 4. It's like, what can Doc do to reinvent the time machine? He's like,
Marty, if you're going to make a time machine, you might as well do it with some style. So I figured I might as well make it into cocaine.
Yeah, because he went with DeLorean once, so why not again? What else is he known for? So yeah,
Doc, that's heavy, Doc.
That was John DeLorean's real investment into the Irish car manufacturing. He was just making time-traveling cocaine. You can only make it in Ireland. That's a known fact.
Oh, that's good.
You get the purest Colombian gram, and you take it to Ireland for some reason. I'm clearly an expert in something I've never done before. Golden Child. Do you like the Golden Child?
Yeah. I want the knife, please.
Would you watch a movie with Eddie Murphy? It's like supernatural and mystical, but it's not violent or scary.
It was Eddie Murphy's first attempt at a family film.
Yeah, it's kind of Golden Child.
Oh no!
He's gonna wipe that on your jacket, huh?
I mean, I would give it a shot out of curiosity, I guess.
It's one of those.
It's actually pretty good.
Okay.
If you like fantasy movies and stuff, I gotta imagine you might dig it.
I do.
All right.
Quite a bit.
The basic, without giving too much away, Eddie Murphy plays a guy who looks for missing children.
Uh-huh.
And the golden child goes missing, and it's it's a child who's believed to have all these mystical powers and all this stuff, and so his major thing is trying to find this kid, and of course, the mystical powers thing turns out to probably be true. Let's put it that way.
Oh, fun times.
So, of course, with every good mystical power person, you got to have an evil mystical power person, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. It's a good movie.
It doesn't have as memorable a soundtrack as Beverly Hills Cop does.
No, not really. But, I mean, it has its flaws, don't get me wrong, but it's enjoyable enough. Oh, that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Jesse, have you ever seen Big Trouble in Little China?
I have not actually, though.
Oh, good God, Gertie.
We're going through.
What is wrong with you, Jeff?
Dude, she hasn't seen any John Carpenter film, so we were working our way through them. We started with Halloween. We're going to go back and watch Assault.
I need to take another just big breath because of that. My God, John Carpenter is a god.
We were talking about Assault on Precinct 13 this morning, right?
What?
No, I was asking you. Like, remember I explained to you the premise of it about a group of police officers trapped in a building as these gangs come in? I showed you a little picture of the girl that got shot eating the ice cream.
You showed me that picture. You said it was from a John Carpenter film. That was all you said. No.
In all my travels, of all the
always wanted to
movie
see that.
directors and writers and whatnot, filmmakers I've ever brought up, not once have I ever heard anybody say anything like, "Oh, I don't like any John Carpenter movies."
John Carpenter movies are something you get to. You should watch probably.
Start with Halloween or Assault on Precinct 13.
I was actually going to say
They did Halloween already.
I was going to say a certain age, though, Tom. I think John Carpenter movies are perfect for the teenage mind.
Maybe.
And I think they're perfect for the adult mind, too, where there's germs of ideas that you can pick up on when you're younger.
I really feel like I don't know Jessie that well, but knowing her as I do, I feel like she would really gravitate towards Starman. Probably she would enjoy and have fun with Big Trouble in Little China, and I bet she'd really dig They Live.
I have never seen Starman.
Now you're making me cry.
You need to take a second breath.
Is he living in the sky?
Oh, God.
Starman. Do you know Jeff Bridges got nominated for that?
Did he really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I can't believe Jeff Bridges has been so sick. Have you seen that picture of him in the hospital?
No.
It's the saddest thing you'll ever see.
I hope he pulls through, Jesus. I hope so.
What is he sick with?
I think he has cancer.
He has lymphoma.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean,
I love Jeff Bridges.
Oh, then you'll love you'll love Starman. He's amazing in it. It's a great movie. It's John Carpenter's biggest film, I think, box office wise, if I'm not mistaken.
outside of Halloween.
I mean, that is the most profitable, but Starman would be his highest grossing, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong though. I'd have to check the numbers on that. But otherwise, it is Halloween then maybe. But yeah, The Thing is one of those movies. It depends on if you're into horror movies or not. Christine, if you like Stephen King.
Oh, she's seen The Thing. She saw that last year.
Oh, okay. Well, did you like The Thing?
I did, yeah.
Okay, well then, yeah, if you like The Thing, then you're good to go. You're good to go.
Right. Nice. I'm on board then.
Outside of his whatchamacallit, Ghosts of Mars or whatever, I think I like.
Yeah, stop before that. Yeah, end with what? I would say probably Village of the Damned, something like that. One of those latter films end about there.
So he has films like The Thing, Halloween, Escape from New York, They Live, The Fog, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, all excellent. And then you get into stuff like Assault on Precinct 13, In the Mouth of Madness, Christine, Vampires, good.
Vampires, end with Vampires. Yeah, that's his last good movie, probably.
Escape from LA is dog shit. But I will say, if you want to go back and watch his little segment, segment on body bags with Mark Hamill.
There's bits of Escape from LA that are really fun, but it is basically a remake of Escape from New York.
And the basketball scene makes me want to vomit.
Oh, and that is, yeah, they should. I hope, what'd be really cool is if John Carpenter recut that movie. Of all of his movies, that would be one I wish he would go back and go, you know what? There's probably a better movie here if he messed with it and, if there's some deleted scenes and maybe fix some of the special feature, the special effects and stuff now because, they were expensive then, but now you can do it on a home computer. I think that'd be the one that'd be fun to see him, mess with a little bit. I could be wrong. Dark Star is good, but I don't know if that's something to start somebody with. Dark Star is one you kind of go back to after.
Yeah, even I haven't seen that one.
It's good, but it's definitely it's like Alien, but a comedy.
Oh, okay. I can buy that.
It's actually got some pretty funny shit in it. It's tough to get through, but then when you get to this one bit, once you get to that one bit, it pulls you in, and you're kind of into the movie for the rest of the ride. Then, and I don't want to give it away because it's kind of funny. So, yeah. Anyway, it's actually funny because the guy who wrote Alien wrote that first, and he's in this.
Yeah, Dan O'Bannon, right?
Yeah. So you can kind of see the roots of Alien in this story, definitely. Yeah, I love Dr. Star too. Dr. Carbonell, it's pretty funny.
I do not know what happened to Anna, folks. I don't know if she fell asleep, timed out, got lost in the matrix, lost in the void, or she fell under her seat and fell into the wormhole.
Did she ever text you guys back when you texted her, or no?
Nope.
She has computer problems from time to time, too.
I was going to say either that, or my guess is, being what's going on right now tonight and the time of day and everything, maybe traffic if she went to get something to eat. But
oh, yeah, I didn't think she was going out for anything.
I have no idea. I'm just making excuses.
Yeah, I would assume she we still don't even have, well, actually, where she is, they might have indoor dining. LA County still doesn't have outdoor dining.
So, Jesse, is there anything you want to promote or tell the audience about before we go?
Just come watch the Matriarchy tomorrow.
When are you ever going to have me back on your channel?
Whenever you want.
When the Angels win the pennant, Tom.
You want to come back to a Thursday? Or you want to do a Tuesday show?
The thing is, I like Thursdays, but I feel like I'm cheating because I don't drink. Yeah. And the Tuesday shows are always fun. I mean, I'm always up for those. So I was just giving you shit,
Oh, of course, no. I love having you on though. But
It's been a while. We'll
definitely bring you.
Been
back.
a spell, as they used to say.
Maybe next week. I've also been streaming spottily. So.
Well, I know you guys were off for like the week or whatever too, or whatever. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for the old birthday.
So, but yeah, no, we'll definitely.
Jeff, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Jeff.
And we got sued.
And we're sued.
What a great birthday gift. Thanks, Tom.
Michael Jackson's suing us and he's dead.
Folks, we're going to close out this stream. I'll be back on Thursday with a video. I'll be back on Thursday with the podcast. And as I said, sadly earlier, that this stream does have to be delisted because of the crap that I talked about earlier. So,
bullshit.
like I said, we did not cover the election. No results, no updates, no nothing. We were true to our word. And I'll leave this to the couple hundred people that are still watching right now. Shit's going to get weird. Shit's going to be different. But like I always say, folks, be excellent to each other. And things will work themselves out. So join us back on Thursday for more WCBS content. And get ready because we do have information on the reprint of Stealing Solo coming up. There's an awesome new cover that I can't wait to show you. Actually, two covers. They're fucking amazing. And Tom and Mecca, we're all involved. So we'll talk more about it later. But until then, folks, just spread the word and get excited because the rest of the year is going to belong to us. So from all of us here, the Fandom Menace, thank you for watching. Good night. And again, folks, be excellent to each other.
And party on. And don't forget that the dirtiest fruit in the world is a kumquat.
No. No, you said dumb.